can hear my generator. So you guys are going to have to deal with it.
I can't hear anything.
Oh, good. What's going on, Benny? Trouble making Causer rumor accusing guaranteeing undercover.
Hey,
let's just get this out of the way in the beginning of the show.
All you got to do
if we guarantee you're undercover, it's for entertainment purposes only. Anything, any views, words,
express
actions on any show done by me, Brett, Benny, anybody is. If you're a whiny baby and you call us and whine about it, we're gonna make fun of you. I'm just kidding. So if you act like you're undercover, we're gonna call you undercover. Like an idiot, we're gonna call you an idiot. We had someone call this morning. Let me put Jared on. We had someone call this morning. I have better internet out in the middle of nowhere. I am in the middle of nowhere. I'm camped out. That's what I'm doing. Getting ready for bear hunting. So if you don't like what we're talking about, it's pretty easy just to not listen. And supposedly the person that called us and is going to sue us because we accused you of being an undercover. I hope you're watching because we know now you're undercover. Yes. I wish they did something where that something would pop up with your two middle fingers and not your thumb. Anyways, man, look how clear it is. It's all working good and everything. Yeah.
So
crazy.
So a long time ago, my phone rang. And I answered, and this guy says, "Hey, this is so-and-so, and I've been in trouble with the game and fish, and they're always after me, and blah, blah, blah. Like I care." And he says, "Hey, aren't you friends with Larry Hendricks?" Well, I know Larry. He says, "Larry got any good started dogs for sale?" I don't know. I'm not Larry's broker. Well, what about, does he have any pups for sale? I don't know. I'm not Larry's broker. Well, how would I get in touch with him? I'd go to his house. What's his phone number? I don't think he has a phone. Well, what about you? Do you have any good dogs for sale? No, I don't have any good dogs. Well, what about some? No, I don't have nothing. He says, I've got 5 lion kittens over here. They're eating me out of house and home. Oh, good. He says, yeah, I'd kind of like to find something to do with some of those kittens. He says, there's just too many. They're eating me out of house and home, and I can't keep up. And, I've got 5 lion kittens. I'd like to get rid of some. And I don't bite. And he goes back to, how would I get in touch here? And what about there? And, whatever. Finally, he says, so, I got 5 lion kittens, and it's just really hard to keep them fed. And so I said, oh, well, that's not just one litter. And it doesn't faze him. Blah, blah, blah. He says, I'd give you a couple of them. I said, oh, good. What the hell would I do with them? He says, well, you could use them for pup trainers. I said, my dogs are pretty salty. So how would this work? Well, you could have 2 or 3. You have to come to Arizona to get them. Oh, no shit. Crossing federal or crossing state lines. Oh, good for you. Yeah, I'll be right there this evening. And I said, I don't think that'll work. I said, because my pups are pretty salty. And so I go over there and I risk my everything. And I come over here and I turn a lion kitten loose and I turn some pups loose and they stretch him. Boy, that was worth the trip. Oh, and I got another one because I came home with 2. So I have a second race and they stretch him. And all that risk and all that exposure and all that nonsense for what? For what? I said, how about if I just keep doing what I'm doing? So time goes by, quite a bit of time. And Hendricks tells me about this guy that showed up when he was putting a roof on his porch, kicks in and helps him. And he's, blah, blah, blah. I don't think nothing of it. And I organize a little lion hunters get together. And John Klump shows up late Saturday night. And he says, hey, I forgot what day it was, but this so-and-so knucklehead, I'll just call him, hey, knucklehead said, it's today. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. What the hell's knucklehead know about it? I don't know. He said it was today. So everybody around there says, you're just, there's nothing to worry about, Benny. You're getting worked up. I said, no, I'm in charge of the invitations. It's invitation only. And the list is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So what the hell does this guy know? So I tell John, hey, you better not do anything that you shouldn't do legally. And he says, well, I don't do anything unless he does it first. I said, yeah, but undercover narcotics agents snort cocaine. I said, so just knock it off. And then I get to thinking about it, and I call another guy when I leave that mountain and get cell phone service. Oh, yeah, you need to call this other guy. That's a bad deal. There's a reason this guy over here can't hunt in the state he lives in. He has to hunt in this other state. So I call him, and he says, well, let's just say that I don't have any use for him, and I'm not going to tell you anything about him over the telephone. Okay. He says, let's set it a campfire, and I'll tell you anything you want to know. All right. So I get to thinking about Knucklehead, and I call a judge, friend of mine.
You want me to say his name?
Judge. Huh?
You want me to say his name? I don't give a shit.
I'm just calling him Knucklehead for right now.
Yeah,
So,
we'll let everybody wander for a little bit.
So I called the judge, and I said, hey, you ever hear of Knucklehead? He says, yeah. He called me on my personal cell phone. He said, and he asked me if I had any good started dogs for sale. I told him, no, I didn't have any. And he says, what about any good-blooded pups? He says, no, I don't have any. And that's how I figured that you told him to call me, because he says, well, I know that you bred 2 females to some of Benny Griffin's dogs. I said, so you didn't, I said, that's interesting. He says, so the judge says, you didn't send him? I said, no. He says, huh? So how did he find out? I said, he's got access to our phones. So he said, don't do anything. Let me dig into this deal. He calls me back in a week and a half, and he says, hey, the only thing I can find out is this is the city that he lives in, and he's a biologist. And all of my people can find nothing else. So that means he's federal. Okay, good enough. So then I get to thinking about it, and I wonder about the guy that comes to Hendricks's every summer. So I bug out, jump in the Mustang, leave the Mustang and the phone down at the bottom of the mountain, and drive another pickup up there and say, hey, tell me about this guy that shows up every summer for 2 weeks. Oh, you mean Knucklehead? Yeah, that's the one. Wow. He comes over, and he's here about 2 weeks, and he spends all day, every day with me during that time. And we sit around, and I said, what's his story? What's he doing? Well, he says that he's bear hunting over at Fence Lake, New Mexico. I said, really? He's got a dog box. He says, yeah, he's got a dog box. I said, he got any dogs? He says, well, he leaves them in camp. I said, so Larry, what time does he get here and what time does he leave? Oh, he gets here pretty early in the morning, early in the day, and he leaves sometime after dark. I said, oh. I said, have you considered how far it is to Fence Lake from your house? He says, no, I never thought about it. He says, it's 2.5, almost 3 hours. I said, one way. He said, yeah. He said, so I see what you're getting at, Griffin. What's up? And I tell him. Oh. He says, who knows you're here? I said, these 2 people, and that's all. All right, keep it under your hat. So Hendricks confronts him that summer when he shows up, and he has him a little meltdown, and he says, I can't believe after all this time you would call me this, blah, blah, blah. And balls and carries on. And Hendrix says, hey, if that ain't so, don't worry about it. But he never shows up again. And so 2 years ago, I get a phone call from a young man over here in the Guadalupes. He says, hey, these guys that come over here from Arkansas that hunt in my high fence every year, they've been telling me about this friend of theirs that hunts lions. Okay. And so he's here and he's got dogs. And I asked him if he knew you. And he said, no, he's never heard of you. I said, oh, what's his name? What's old Knucklehead? Oh, good. So when we were talking about, I don't know, what was it, a month ago or so on Monday night, and I called that guy out and said he's an undercover U.S. Fish and Wildlife. So today he calls Brett and he has a stroke and a meltdown and threatens Brett.
No,
All of that
you gotta correct that. He didn't have the stroke and the meltdown. I had the stroke and the meltdown.
Okay.
Real bad.
He was pretty calm. I lost my temper bad. I haven't lost my temper that bad in years and years. I called him every name I could think of because he threatened me. He told me, he said, well, I don't want to have to sue you. And I lost it. I called him MFer and I said, show up here. And I said, I'll teach you who's going to, I lost it. I was really mad. And I shouldn't have. I mean, I probably should have been calm and said, well, do what you can do. I'm sorry we pissed you off. But I tried to call him 2 or 3 times back and he wouldn't answer. And then I sent him a text. I said, hey, you want to make this right? Come on our show Monday night. Show up. We'll give you a chance to clear yourself right here. And I haven't heard back from him.
No, he's not going to do it. I've had the same phone call from 2 other people through the years, not about the lion kittens, but I'll be sympathetic because they get into trouble with the game department. You know what? I've never been in trouble with the game department. I mean, I've been on their radar, but they don't get up. When I was hunting, they didn't get up early enough, and they damn sure didn't make big enough circles. So, the bottom line is you're not allowed to be successful in what we do if you don't play by their rules and pay into their tax credits. You got to be an outfitter. You got to pay insurance. You got to be a licensed guide. You got to do all of this shit. And I've tagged 3 mountain lions in my whole entire life, 2 in New Mexico and 1 in Arizona. So therefore, I don't know what I'm such a big prize about because I haven't accomplished anything. And, I guess the notoriety and the people that I have in my circle, that's a red flag as well. So anyway, that's what all that deal's about. And I kind of get a kick out of it, but they're going to have to be a little bit smarter if they're going to get me to step in their damn trap.
Brett started it, though. Brett started it.
I just wonder what would be the purpose in calling me to ask about it. I mean, what I don't see.
It's your show.
This is a year later. I don't think we talked about that knucklehead for 8 months, 6 months ago. It was.
Why are we being quiet about his damn name?
Well, it starts with. Oh, I won't say it. I don't know if I can.
Well, this is Chris's show. He calls it. I wouldn't say it if Chris says.
I want to look it up. I want to look him up first.
I did a lot of research today. He's been in trouble with the game department before. They denied him his outfitter's license, and then they had an action.
Well, yeah,
some kind of
that's what it says in the public.
Yeah, that could have been made up, I guess, if he really is I don't know. I just got this really bad problem if somebody threatens me. I can't stand it. I just can't stand it.
If he did get caught doing all that stuff, it's because he's a dummy. Because why would you call someone you don't know and say, "Do you want some mountain lion kittens?" Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the whole deal. It's a bunch of horse shit, and they can make whatever profile they want at that level. But You don't call a perfect stranger, no matter what you think, no matter who you think they might be or how they might act, and offer them lion kittens, but you're going to have to go cross state lines and get them yourself.
Isn't that how
Well,
they got what's his face out of Young back in the day? Was he was transporting lions from New Mexico to Arizona, vice versa?
Proc.
Yeah.
He was doing a lot of things.
that was just something they had him on for sure.
Yeah.
I think he transported jaguars to Utah.
He did.
Yeah, CJ Proc.
So basically, what happened to everybody who just signed? So this guy was like, "I missed the point." Is probably 6 months ago. It was a while ago. We haven't talked about that for a while. Then he said he's this guy undercover, and he guaranteed it.
And he didn't
know.
call him Knucklehead.
He didn't call him Knucklehead. And
Yeah.
months and months and months later, this guy ends up calling Brett, saying he's going to sue him because he lost clients because of it.
No, I'll tell you exactly what he said. He said, "I've heard you're a pretty good guy," and
You know he's
I
a
said,
liar already.
yeah, no, I didn't trust him after he said that. We just don't know very well. But then,
Definitely undercover. Definitely undercover.
and I was out there running a backhoe, and I didn't think nothing about it. And I said, "What's going on?" He said, "This and that." And he said, "Well, I heard you guys think I'm undercover." And I said, "I don't know. We joke about that all the time. We call everybody undercover. We
You're
call
not
each other
special.
undercover."
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not special.
Well, Benny Griffin guaranteed it. And I said, "Well, yeah, probably." I said, Benny probably thought so. You know, what am I supposed to say? And then he said, well, he said something else, but then he said, "Well, I really don't want to sue you." And I lost it. I mean, I totally lost control right there. And I just,
It wasn't.
it's just like,
it wasn't. I'm going to take you to court.
No, no, I said, "Come over here." I said, "I'll tell you where I'm at." I said, "Better yet, tell me where you're at and I'll go over there." And I lost it. I mean, it was bad. I lost my temper bad. I just have that thing. People can call
Red
me
rage.
a dumbass and call
Red
me all
rage.
kinds of things, and it won't bother me. I'll say, "All right, I am a dumbass sometimes." But man, if somebody threatens me, that really bothers me. And I said things I probably shouldn't have said.
Yeah, there's a lot more F words in there than just that.
And I don't, if you know me, I don't drop an F-bomb very, very often at all. I mean,
You save
It
them
just-
up for real good times like that.
yeah.
I drop F-bombs all the time, so if I'm not cussing at you, it's probably worse.
But I sent him a text message back, and I'll tell you exactly what I said if I can find it. So it's just on my phone. It doesn't show up on my computer here. But I told him,
It's
I
just
said,
like-
come on to our show. You got an invitation. I'll send you a link, and you can come on Monday night. You can clear your name if you want to. And I told him, I said, I got a problem. I said, I can't stand for anybody threatening me. And I probably said some things that I shouldn't have said. And I said, I'm sorry about that. I said, but I still don't like to be threatened. So anyway, that was bad. Sorry. You probably sue the shit out of me. And I'll say, it was Chris.
It's all Chris. Benny guaranteed it, not me.
Yeah.
We're way too influential in our little bubble. We're special.
Well, and that was something else he said that kind of got to me a little bit, made me suspicious about other things. He said, "I hear you guys are the biggest ones out there." I said, "I don't know about that."
My
I said,
God. Some more of that.
What does that mean? What does that mean, Benny? You're going to I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Well, it can be taken a little bit of vulgar. He's polishing your apple, but
Mhm.
Polish
A hooker.
apple.
A hooker tells all her Johns the same thing.
Nope.
You think, okay, maybe he was saying that. Maybe he was trying to butter me up so I could say, yeah, that damn Benny, he's an outlaw. You wouldn't believe what he did. And I was just going to spill my guts about Benny.
He was trying to get you on the dark side.
I got pictures. I got proof. I got pictures. I can prove it.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, all the black sedans are going to show up at our houses at the exact same time, 800 miles apart.
remember that ocelot we caught down there?
Well, yeah, but we named him and turned him loose.
No,
Well, me and Jared caught a jaguar. He's way bigger than an ocelot.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but
I
also,
guarantee it. I guarantee.
I guarantee. I shot it and made a pair of underwear out of it.
but I kind of got it. You know, the more I thought about it all day, I thought that really is kind of comical, though. He thinks he can threaten Brett, and Brett's gonna tell everybody to crawfish. Just run
Maybe
backwards as hard as you can.
Maybe he was just trying to. I don't know. I don't know. I've
Well,
looked him up on the internet and everything. We need somebody who has inside, has ways to get more information that might be a private investigator or something.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not,
like that.
that's why I'm not saying his name.
I'll tell you one thing for certain. Some stupid son of a bitch shouldn't call up anybody that they don't know and offer them lion kittens, but you'll have to cross the state line to get them.
No, that's stupid. Yeah, that's like
Yeah, you just
well,
show up at his house and bring the lion kittens. Dummy. They can listen over the phone.
So does John know this guy pretty good, John Klump?
He knows him, yeah.
How about Steve?
Yeah.
I'll call Steve. I talked to Steve just the other day.
Wait
He
a
called-
minute. Maybe they're all undercover too.
I'll guarantee it.
There goes 2 more lawsuits. There we go.
Benny's probably the one if you think about it.
I won't guarantee that one. I gotta have to renege on that one. I've never done cocaine.
Well, that's
I've
what
only
happened this
smelled it.
morning. That was first thing this morning. I got a call from Brett. What's funny is Brett says, "Hey, you know this knucklehead?" I said, "Oh, the undercover guy."
Right away. I said, yeah. I said, and that's why I said, how do you know that? How do you know that?
Then he guaranteed it.
Well, I called Cody too, because Cody had a guy. Because Cody called me one time, and it was just right after Cody was talking about catching those jaguars, and there was a guy showed up down there, said he was from Arizona, and that he wanted to come out and see Cody and this and that, and he asked him a bunch of questions, and he said, I just happened to be in San Antonio, and I could come by. I'd like to see your dogs and everything like that.
The
And
red
Cody-
flag flies up my pole with that kind of bullshit.
Well, and it did Cody too, and Cody just said, yeah. Now this isn't the same name of the same knucklehead. This is another
Oh, no.
knucklehead.
I've had 2 other ones.
Now
call
I'm a
me.
little hesitant over saying people's names, and and Cody said, yeah, come on out, whatever. And he said the guy never showed up. Every time you use the fly swatter, you need to say "Pinchy mosca." And
Pinche mosco.
I live next to a feedlot. My little office here is next to a feedlot,
Well,
and I smoke a cigar, and then I leave the door open so the smoke goes out, and then the flies come in.
What'd they
So-
get you for, Chuck? What'd they get you for? You weren't that law abiding if they got you for 3 years.
Yeah, I didn't do a thing. I'm
didn't do
innocent.
nothing.
Everybody says that.
Everybody in prison. I was framed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm innocent.
Tell you what, though,
Anyways,
anytime money starts changing hands, it's going to put a big old X on you. They're going to watch you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Technicalities. I hate those.
Technicalities.
do you remember
I
when there was a bunch of us together and we brought this up in our group, and we were at around a
Pinche
campfire,
mosca.
and I brought the question up, what is it about, and I think we might have talked about it online too, but what is it about us with hounds that goes so far against all the fish cops and their way of life? I mean, they've got it
Well,
in for
what it-
pretty good.
I
Is it just
Go ahead.
Arizona or like Utah? Do you guys
No,
have that
it's every
problem up in
state.
Utah?
Nevada.
It's everywhere.
I
Yeah.
think it's because we're out. I mean, to be somewhat successful with hounds, you got to be out a lot, and you're out by yourself, and everybody knows things happen from time to time, and so and I mean, look at us, look at Chris. He looks like an outlaw.
The only time
Like a
you
hill.
the only time when I commit a crime, I'll shave my beard. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, yeah. Then you look like a little baby. I bet you have just a
Exactly.
big old
You ain't
baby
catching
face.
me.
Probably look like you're 12 years old.
I do.
Well, and I think that was the consensus we came up with during an elk hunt and a deer hunt and an antelope hunt and all these other hunts. They know where people come and go through the area, and they can funnel them all through there, and they can check who's there and who's not there and what they're up to. And with us guys with dogs, we're solo. I mean, we don't hook up with everybody else. We don't run 2 or 3 packs of dogs together. So we're out there doing whatever we do all by ourselves with our mount and our dogs. And so we've got to be the biggest criminals and the biggest villains and the biggest outlaws out there, because there's nobody else around and there's no way for them to know exactly where we are.
I guess so. But I think a lot, maybe, and it's just in New Mexico, there's a lot of suspicion when when you're when money is changing hands. If you're taking money to take guys hunting and stuff, and especially if you have a real high success rate, I think they're probably suspicious over how you're getting things done.
Well,
how it's happening.
For me,
You know,
I didn't have a guide I had a guide license for a little while when I had my dogs. I couldn't find an outfitter to work for. And in New Mexico, you have to be a licensed guide and work under a licensed outfitter. And so I never did take anybody, I never guided anybody hunting. But as long as, when all my trouble started, when I came out from underneath my rock on Big Game Houndsman. And I did that over Larry Hendricks. And Hendricks said, hey, you'd be better off to get off that internet and stay off that computer. But I shined a light on myself through that, I guess, through that forum. And then I had a ranch leased in the Guadalupe Mountains, and the sergeant for the game and fish down there, he and I didn't jihad too good. And he was real good friends with a guy over in Ruidoso that had hounds. And he took offense when he told me that I wouldn't be able to catch lions in the Guadalupes because his friend from Ruidoso couldn't catch them in the Guadalupes. And I said, I didn't know who this was. And I said, well, maybe your friend in Ruidoso is just a damn snow hunter and they don't have any idea how to get through the rocks. And I was just being smart mouth because I was tired of this game warden. And turns out that game warden is now number 2 in charge of the southern half of the state of New Mexico. And so he sent me a private message on Big Game Houndsman. And he says, hey, I want to hunt the Guadalupes. I want to try to get these dogs in the dirt and see if I can hunt it. Where would
is that the guy? Is that the same guy I know, Benny?
Absolutely.
I sold him a dog.
He says, I kind of like to know where I might be able to go find a lion track. And I thought, well, let me run my red flag up the pole again, because this is fishing for where you might find me. And if you would have dropped a pin on the Guadalupe mountain range for every place I said, go look for a lion track, you'd have covered the mountain range. And that's the last time I heard from him. But they also knew that I hunted in Arizona and Texas. And every single time I went to Eastern Arizona, the third day I was there, a game warden showed up. No matter where I was, that's where the game warden showed up.
They had a tracker on you.
They were pinging my phone. When my daughter was in college, she was a wildlife science major, biologist, and I was welding in the oil field, so I paid for her to have an apartment, and I supplied her with everything she needed outside of her scholarships. She didn't have to work, And so she volunteered her time with the game department, and everywhere she'd go, like they went up in the Pecos wilderness and were netting sheep with a helicopter and transporting those sheep other places, transplant. And she told me every single time that she was off somewhere with the game wardens, and I know how this deal works. It's just striking up conversation with these kids. Where are you from? What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. And she'd come home and she'd say, hey, Dad, we were over here this weekend. And they were telling me, when they found out I was from Hagerman, we understand there's a guy in Hagerman that hunts lions with dogs. And she never did say anything, but they talked about me all over the whole state. And it's like, really, guys, that I'm the best topic you got? Good gosh.
Well, that same guy came up to my camp, and it was before we had a year-round season. I was living up there in the mountain. And I asked him, I said, I live way up here in the middle of nowhere. And I said, I got to get these hounds out and exercise them. And we don't have a pursuit season. I said, so if they get on a track or something, I said, do I have to call them off? Do I have to load them up and take them back to the house? And this is what he told me. And I know I've told you this several times before, Benny. He looked me right in the eye and he said, Brett, we really don't care what you do up here. And I never had any trouble. I never had anybody checking on me or anything. Probably knew I couldn't catch a lion.
This guy's safe. Isn't this guy
he's
safe?
not. He can't catch anything anyway.
I think they have a hard on for the lion hunters because they're just out there, and it's more of a prize to catch them. It's like trying to catch an ocelot or a jaguar. It's hard to catch them because, like where I hunt down south, I don't see nobody. Well, nobody that has a citizenship in this country. You know what I mean? So I don't bump into nobody in those dirty, crappy units.
Those ocelots are hard to keep in a tree, I guarantee.
I think a dog would kill them. I'd be afraid a dog would kill them quick.
Well,
they're not a very big cat, are they?
No.
I just find it interesting that these guys,
we'll be getting a call now.
guys, for whatever reason, they think they can operate in this same tight circle, and nobody's ever going to raise an eyebrow. And I'm just wired out of self-preservation to key on that stuff.
I don't know. The only thing that ever, bothered me is when I turned in that lion the other day and I went down there and I told them exactly what happened and they said, oh yeah, we know you. Man.
Whoops.
Yeah. But they were real nice. Yep. The guy was a really nice guy.
Give him a few months. He'll get a ticket in the mail.
Yeah,
something, or they'll show
up. Okay. So a lion that I tagged in the Guadalupes, a different game warden was up there in the Guadalupes, and I was in the cafe trying to eat a burger. It was 3:00 in the afternoon, and I hadn't eaten all day. And so I see him look in the back of my pickup, and I'm watching him out the window. He doesn't reach in there, which is good because that's the backyard of my house. And he comes in there, and instead of talking to me, he knows who the hell it is. He asked the waitress, hey, have you seen anybody up here hunting with hounds today? And I said, well, no, just Benny. Oh, hey, Benny. Well, whatever. What the hell, Terry? And so he comes over there and he says, you been hunting? I said, no. Just drove up here to get the dogs out. Well, so you're not hunting? No. Well, I saw a lion in the back of your pickup. I said, you were peeking through my fucking window? What do you mean? I said, in the state of New Mexico, that's eminent domain. What the hell, you peeping Tom? And he just looks at me. I said, no, I'm serious. I said, I was watching you. I said, how come you're playing these games, Terry? Just come up here and be a man. He says, well, now that I see you got a lion, it's not tagged. I said, it's tagged. He says, well, why don't you come out here and show me? I said, I got 24 hours to report it. Well, yeah, but now that I see it, I said, no, I got 24 hours. And he just kept pushing. And so I finally got up from my lunch and I go out there and I drop the tailgate and I show him down in the back of that lion's mouth. See that piece of paper? That's the tag. Well, what'd you put it in there for? In the state of New Mexico, you don't have any way to attach the tag to the hide. And so if I stuck it in his mouth, it won't fall out. He says, well, I can't get it out. I said, well, so? He says, well, you get it out. I said, hell no, it's your tag. And I got 24 hours. You don't even know this lion's been killed as far as I'm concerned. And so we go around and around. We get the tag out. He does everything. He puts a pelt tag on it. He gives me all the paperwork. He does everything. And this is when we had 2 tags. Remember, Brett, we had a sheep only tag, a sheep area.
Yeah, you could. It was right there by where. Well, when I lived down on the farm, you had a bighorn sheep.
You had a tag that was good year round. That was for bighorn sheep areas in these designated units, and then another tag.
They got to him. That knucklehead. Oh, I thought he was gone.
They tried to shut him down.
And so I said, hey, just so you know, I looked in the regs and there's no place in there that says I can't detach this one tag off the bottom of this paper and use this other tag so I can keep hunting. And he says, yeah, there's nothing that says that. You're right. So when I left, he's in his pickup looking through his Title 17 or whatever it is, and a guy stops me down the road and he says, hey, what are you doing up here? I said, I've been up here with my son and the dogs. And he had his daughter with him and he wanted to show her a lion. So we're on the back of my truck and he's showing this other kid's showing his daughter my mountain lion. And here comes Terry, the game warden. And he pulls up there and he says, hey, Benny, come here. What? You see right here, it says that you cannot hunt with a detached tag. I said, okay, so what's that mean? Well, since you pulled that tag off of the bottom of that paper to get to that other tag, you're going to have to give me that other tag. And I said, no way in hell, no way. I said, I don't have access to that, do I? He says, well, no. I said, then pound sand. Just pound sand. I was up front with you. You can pound sand. And he says, well, it says right here. I said, I don't care. I said, do you know Dan Brooks? He says, the lawyer? I said, yeah. He's the department's lawyer in Santa Fe. He says, well, I know who he is. I said, well, I know him. Monday morning, I'll call him and I'll tell him. And if he says that I got to turn it in, I'll bring it to your house and give it to you personal. He says, just a minute. So he calls the sergeant and I can hear on the phone, and he said, got this situation, blah, blah, blah. And the sergeant says, well, who is it? Well, it's Benny Griffin. And the sergeant's response was, this is such a small infraction. Don't bother him on this. We'll wait till we can really hang him.
We'll put knucklehead on him.
I just
Let's get him to transport them cubs we got.
So this deal's been going on for years and years.
PP break.
And in all honesty, I haven't owned a hound for, I don't know, I guess Cougar, when I put Cougar down, he was an ancient dog. He was the last one I had, and that was probably 5 years ago, and he wasn't able to hunt. So I got rid of all my dogs 8 or 10 years ago. So, whatever. They need to get over there.
Well, if they're going to get you, they're going to get you. And I told my son the other day, I said, you know what the worst poacher is? And he said, what? I said, the one you don't catch. Because he'll never be a poacher if you don't get caught. So, and they're out there. And if they want to get you, they'll get you. Whether for something. They'll get you for something. I think, who was it? Anderson said you had to have a search warrant, but probable cause. You got probable cause. If you look at that car and seen your line, you got probable cause. The most, how they catch people, and that's like the number one thing they catch people with warrants and felons is a license plate light. They don't have a license plate light. They pull over, cracked windshield. They pull them over. There you go. Some of the biggest fentanyl busts on I-40 has been tags, license plate light, stuff like that. But they do.
Well,
That's
the
just the stuff they teach us in undercover school.
The way they
other
get
guys.
everybody in the hunting world is loose lips, people talking,
Some-
bragging.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bragging and somebody else talks about it.
Well, these days, if there's something killed in an area, the first thing they do is hit them cell towers and see who was in that area.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Yep.
Have you heard about
That's
those
why.
phones? What is that? YA phones or whatever, where they can't track you and you can just turn it off. And I mean, there's Tucker
I don't-
Carlson advertises them.
No, I don't. If you can talk to somebody else, they can track you.
Well, you can turn
I've
it
seen-
completely off though, and
Well-
they can't track you with it.
Yeah.
Tucker
I don't know.
Carlson
I don't know.
don't lie.
I don't know. I'd have to
All they want.
see it.
You know, Brett, when you and I were there with John Klump the last time, there was 20 cameras. The Border Patrol had 20 cameras in that little area where we were.
Mm-hmm.
So, it doesn't matter.
Oh well, I mean, if they're gonna watch you, they're gonna watch you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Well, I don't know about New Mexico. I just know probable cause kind of supersedes a lot of things. That's like saying there's a dead body in a car and you see it and you have to get a search warrant, to search the car.
Well,
So I don't know.
Your vehicle is not eminent domain. In New Mexico, it is.
Hmm.
It's an extension of your house. It's just the same when you're driving your car, you're driving your living room.
Chris
Well-
literally is. Look at
I
that
heard
trailer
that.
behind him.
Yeah.
If he could just get his mule load up in his bus, he'd be closer.
He will.
Hey, I want
He
to change
will.
the subject. I'm going to change. You mentioned tagging. Something I really don't understand is this e-tag. How does that thing work?
Well, do you guys got it in New Mexico?
Yeah.
Oh, in Arizona. So in Arizona, everything's on your phone. Even if you put in for a draw, it's on your phone. I don't
Yeah.
mind it because when I do outlaw stuff, I just don't take my phone with me. But when I'm doing legal hunting, I have my phone with me. So it has an app. You go to the app there, and it shows all your tags you got. So all your tags are on there. And so if you kill something, you just hit tag my animal. And no matter if you have service or not, once you hit service, what people understand is your phone's going to track with service or not. Your phone is what? GPS. How do you think Onyx work? How do you think maps work?
Oh no, I
how do
know
you
all
think-
that. I just
So when you hit tag your animal, it just, it saves it. Once you hit service, it sends it. So,
I might actually
Yeah.
catch one this year, and I want to tag it.
oh yeah. And if it's in the wrong unit, just make sure you drive over to the unit and then hit tag my animal, and you'll be okay.
I can drag it to whatever unit I want to.
Yeah. Just
Just
I
don't
heard.
leave DNA on it.
This knucklehead called me, wanted to give me kittens, said that's how you do it.
I gave him Benny's number and everything. I said, "Here, you call him." I sure was hoping he would call him. I would love to have listened to that conversation.
Oh yeah.
Well,
The biggest part of my problem is I call it like I'm a
We don't
straight-
have enough time tonight.
No, I call it exactly like I see it, Brett. You're aware of that. And I'm a straight shooter. And when that's the way it is, they can pound sand. That's the way it is.
Well, I don't
Brett,
know.
you smoked a cigar, and I went to my truck to get my cigars, and I left them in my little car because I went to Phoenix the other day, and when I get tired driving, I smoke a cigar. I have no cigars.
I just had a box delivered today. I ordered them online.
I'm going to have to chop up some pine needles and smoke them later.
Tabac Especial red dye. What do they call them? Red something.
I don't know. I'm a Fuente guy, but then I found some cheap that tastes the same. So instead of
Yeah.
$8 a cigar, I only pay $2.
These are $8 a piece. Well, if you buy them here in town, they're $13 a piece. But if you order them online, they're $8 a piece.
Good deal.
Hey guys, I'm gonna jump off here. I told my wife I wouldn't be that long. I said I probably have to tell a story, and
I'm sure your wife knows you're not that long.
Okay,
Well-
Benny, I'll tell Tim or Knucklehead that you said hello.
I'm gonna have to go sit on my front porch with my guard dog and get my 50 out and make sure it reaches the end of the driveway.
There you go.
You don't want
guys-
the mountain lions running off. Thanks, Benny.
Yep. See
Bye.
you, Benny.
Yeah,
And he comes
matter of
on.
fact,
It's outlaw
that-
talk.
in that message I gave him, I said, I told him, I said, you'll have an opportunity to talk to Benny face to face, kinda.
Yeah.
So, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'll set it up, man. I'll poke him. I'll egg him on.
Well, what took him so long? You know, didn't he say he didn't even watch this? So did someone call him? Did he just say, "Oh, look, I'm losing clients"? Why did you? Well, because we heard you guys. Does that many people listen to us?
He told me he lost 6 clients because of what was said. Now, I don't think clients listen to us. I mean, it's just other hounds guys, really. I mean, I think
Wait a minute.
If nothing else, I think if he heard about it, and he's not an undercover guy. He was just pissed somebody was talking about him.
Yeah.
And so he knew somebody. I wouldn't doubt it if it was somebody we all know. Just gave him my number. Because how did he get my number? I mean, I guess it's not public. I don't know. Shit, it might be. I don't know. But I don't talk to anybody but Benny and Chris and.
Nah, maybe we should keep our eye on Benny.
Yeah. And Cody. I talked to Cody.
Cody. I guarantee you he's undercover. Nobody spends that much money on dogs.
I've spent a
Government
lot.
money.
I've spent quite a bit of time with Cody. He's not undercover.
You know, I think everybody can be an undercover guy at one point, because when they come talk to you, and I just heard some stuff about some people who thought I said some stuff about them, which I'm flattered, I guess, or maybe they should be flattered thinking I'm going to talk about them. But I don't give a shit what you're doing out there. If you're baiting or if you're cheating or you're poaching elk or deer, if I really wanted to rat you out, I'd catch you. I catch people stealing kids and I catch people cheating. To catch you out here in the woods, that's even twice as easy. So, so anybody can be an undercover. Call that 1-800 game thief. You know.
Well, I would imagine if they, I don't know, what kind of background do you have to have to be undercover? Do you have to go through training, or can it be somebody who's gotten in trouble and they say, "Hey, we'll get a deal for you"?
Yeah, it's just an informant.
Yeah,
well, that's
there
a CI.
you go.
You know, I guess that's a CI. You know, confidential informant. But
quit using those big words with us.
I know. Yeah. I know with like with Arizona Game and Fish, they'd rather you just call the 1-800 number and snitch it off.
Turn somebody in.
Did they flip Chris, or is he just playing mind games?
Isn't in Utah, if you turn someone in, you get a bonus point or something the next year?
What?
Depending on what
I'll have
it
to
is
look into that.
and how big the animal was that poached. Sometimes you get a tag out of it, but it's got to be a pretty big deal to get a tag.
What do you guys think of that? I mean,
well, it depends. There's some dirty outlaws out there. I'm not talking about the guy who hunts a little early, or the guy you're talking about, a guy who's out there whacking. I knew a guy when he died, all of a sudden the antelope and deer population grew, and the lion population grew because the deer and antelope population grew. But there's guys out there that are dirty. There's guys out there I would rat out because it's just ridiculous shit to kill an elk or a deer just for the antlers. I think that's about the most selfish, disgusting, stupid thing. What are you going to do with them? Go out.
Can't
You want
show
antlers
anymore.
that bad? Go hunt and shed hunt,
How about a bear for just the hide?
or the gallbladder.
Well,
When
that's
you're
worth
killing
money.
bears for gallbladder, I don't.
It's illegal.
I-
I mean,
I
that's
eat the bear, and I know on the reservation down here they dump a lot of bears. They used to. I'm not saying anybody who's doing it now. I can't guarantee that, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying they waste. And there's a lot of people who shoot elk or deer, and they might take that
Waste
home,
it.
but they'll throw it in the dumpster, and that makes me sick.
Well, that's
know.
like certain states. Certain states you're not required to take the meat. Like Utah, you're not required to take mountain lion meat or bear meat.
same way with New Mexico.
And Nevada.
And you know, didn't we? Someone was just saying that maybe we should get off the eating part of the discussions because, for some reason, does anybody remember that? Were we talking
No.
about that, Brad? Or
No, I mean the only thing I've said is when you get into so much about having to eat what you kill, and you know, ethically, you know, we can argue about eating lions or bears, but when you start falling into that trap, then it's like they're still dead. I mean, no matter what, they're still dead. There's still an animal taken off the landscape. Now, whether it's put to good use or not, you know, once it goes home and gets in somebody's freezer, you know, gets freezer burn, it's no good and nobody likes it. You know, is it all right then just to feed it to your dogs? I don't know. I mean,
well,
I go
it's
back
still
and forth.
consumption. It's still not a waste in my book. You know,
No.
at least it's a life for a life.
But
You know
what
what I mean?
you say that, but I mean,
A hippie down the
There-
road might say something different.
exactly.
Yep.
So instead of just saying, you know, it's and that's like you know, the word, the politically correct term harvest. You know, I harvested something. I harvested a
Yeah.
deer. I harvested a lion. No, I killed the son of a bitch is what I did.
Yeah.
You know.
You shoved a projectile through its boiler.
Yeah. So you fall down that trap. You're kind of conforming to try to pacify those kind of people. And
Yeah.
and I don't know. I don't know what's right or wrong. I really don't. I mean, it's not for me to.
Whatever we say is right. Everybody else is wrong. You should know that by now.
Yeah.
So yes, knucklehead, you are undercover.
I
Uh-oh,
guarantee.
this guy right here is undercover. How do you know that, Chris? Did you get a tag? Maybe
I have a dumb question.
we got dumb answers.
You know how Wade got busted for canned lion hunts?
Mm-hmm. I
You
know
can
he got
trap 'em
busted,
now.
but I don't know
But
how.
you can trap a lion now. They're a varmint
In
Utah.
Nevada.
in Utah.
So,
Oh, really?
but
Yeah.
he's getting busted for previous hunts before all that shit changed.
Okay.
Oh, that was
If
after
that
him.
makes sense.
It was a
What
big
did he do?
investigation.
I
What
thought it was-
exact?
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I'll show you.
what Utah considers a canned lion hunt is the houndsman caught the lion, kept it in a tree overnight, and the client came in the next morning, walked into the tree, and shot it. That's what Utah considers a canned hunt. Utah law is the actual tag holder has to be at the track when the dogs are turned out.
That's New Mexico too. That's
every
New
state,
Mexico.
I think.
That's what they hammered Wade Lemon for. I mean, among other things, this is finally the only thing they've got to stick, but they hammered him and they hammered the guide that did it as well. I mean, they didn't really get hammered. They should have got more, but
Yeah.
that's what they're considering a canned hunt on that.
Gotcha.
Is it typical to get 6 months of jail for crimes over there on the game side of it? Like I don't ever see people get that.
With that though, he's been in trouble so much for the last couple years, but he's gotten out of it that I think they finally made this stick, so they shoved it at him as hard as they could. Because
Gotcha.
he's got
Make
in
an
trouble.
example.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I mean he's been in trouble for a couple other things, but weaseled his way out of it, and this one they could finally make stick, so they let him have it.
So you sound like you're not a fan of them.
I mean, I don't know Wade personally. I just know that guys that have dealt with him and his guys don't like it as much. I think he kind of got too big for, like, he made a name so big for himself that they had to start crossing lines to keep up with the name, if that makes sense.
When
They
when
had
you
to start
start,
what crossing line? What they had? Oh, crossing the lines. Okay,
yeah,
Yeah.
to try to keep up with the success rate and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Like holding a lion in a tree overnight.
Well, he crossed the line and they dotted a T and
yeah,
crossed
cross the T and dotted
crossed
an
the
I.
T's.
you know,
Yeah.
when
And honestly, this one is probably the least, like, as far as serious ones that he's got called out for, but this is the only one they could make stick.
You don't think that it put a big old? I mean, because he took what? Didn't he take Donald Trump Jr.?
yeah, he got caught. That was baiting bears. He got caught
Yeah,
with
they
there.
and see they never made that stick, but they have a bait pile with a camera with his initials on it, with that bear on it, right before they ended up killing it. And in Utah, you cannot run hounds off of a bait.
Yeah.
It's illegal.
Once
See,
guys start saying they're 100% success rate and all that stuff, man, that's hard to follow. I mean, Ben Lilly even had a bad week.
Oh,
Yep.
they talk about Dale Lee coming down here to the Black Range where I hunted for what, almost 6 years, and he spent what, 4 months there and never caught a lion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, and I totally agree with that. I think that people should. I think if you're gonna pay to go hunt, you better be there on your mule or walking or there when the dogs hit the track and they're going. I think that's the hunt. I mean, just to walk in and kill something, you might as well be shooting a tin can out of a tree.
Exactly. And
Chuck?
I think that's kind of why they went after it. But
That sounds like a lot of technicality.
yeah.
Chuck wasn't playing around on what he was doing.
Chuck said I was.
I don't think he left his shotgun shells on the ground. He actually said I was held at a higher standard because I was a government hunter and outfitter, and they were pushing for 5 years jail. But I got probation 1 year. That's like a CDL guy. You know, the fines are twice as much when you get caught because you're supposed to be CDL guy.
Yeah, you're held at a higher standard.
That I made that comment on Facebook about and that other group over there kind of got mad at me, but I said who decides what's ethical and what's not? Where does that I mean, it was just a question. I wasn't trying to say that Wade Lemon was correct with what he did, but how do you use somebody else's dogs to catch, maybe it should be legal, you just have your own dogs. I mean, who makes these decisions? I mean, where does that come from?
Well, people got mad because we said what's ethical, but people got mad when Chris Powell just hammered him and said, you're a sorry piece of crap, which it doesn't make a houndsman look good. I mean, he's not, it don't mean he's a low life. He just got caught up in, was it right? No.
Money.
That's what it is.
What he was worried about.
Chasing that 100%.
Yep, exactly. And that's, I don't know. I mean, to say, I mean, I don't know him personally. I don't know if he's a piece of shit or not. I know he's made a name for himself in Utah as the biggest outfitter once he kind of surpassed Mossback and had to keep up with it. And I think that's just when certain lines started getting crossed. But I mean, if you say you haven't cheated in your life, you're a liar. So
yeah.
What? How come I feel like he's looking right at me when he said that?
You're already fired up. I figured I might as well poke the bear.
A guy, when we was at the rendezvous, a guy said, hey, someone hung apples in a bag, just took the bag of apples, hung them by where you camp, which I do camp here pretty much every year, and I talking to the at the Sheep Society, and I said, someone hung bag of apples over here. I said, I don't know why they're apples. You're supposed to cut them up and throw them while you're driving down the road. That way the bears cross the road. He says, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they'd hang them. But they was rotted. Nothing happened, I guess. I didn't see them. I haven't went out and looked for them. But I just got here today. But that guy knew where I camped. He's undercover. I guarantee it. Guarantee
Well, and I
it.
think
The guy at Rendezvous?
Yeah.
Was it really a
I don't know. Remember the guy I when we said, who are you? And I said, those guys are undercover, except for
Yeah.
that big guy, because he's too
Yeah.
big to talk shit about.
Yeah, we don't want to talk bad about him.
That was a big dude, man.
He was.
I
And he
don't
was
know.
quiet the whole time, wasn't he? He
He
never
was.
said
Yeah.
much.
I didn't even smile when I said that. So I was like, man, glad I got Brett here.
Yeah.
Brett will take care of him.
I'd have said, excuse me, sir. We don't mean to offend you today.
If we need to turn around while you punch Chris, go right ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll hold him for you.
So I don't know. I
Well.
mean, there's true hardcore outlaws, and then there's the game wardens. I'll probably piss Chris Powell off here, but there's those game wardens that waste their time and energy, and it drives them so crazy that they give you a stupid little ticket for something instead of waiting if you're that big of outlaw. I just think there's bigger offenses out there, and they know. I've talked to one and said, we've been trying to catch him 10 years. I'm like,
They don't catch the good ones.
everybody knows what he's doing, you know, but
I got
I think
I got stopped in my buggy because you can drive your buggy on county roads, but you can't drive your buggy on a state road. And I got one little stretch over here, about 2 miles of state road that I have to go down to get to the county road, to get to some of these canyons I drive up in my buggy in the mornings. And I had a game and fish guy stop me. And I had my dog box, I had dogs in the back. And he stopped me and he said, well, you can't be driving that UTV on the state road. I looked at him. I said, you're a game warden, man. And he said, yeah.
Peace
He said,
officer.
but we have rights to enforce traffic violations. I said,
they're a
oh,
peace
shit.
officer.
I said, don't you have anything better to do? I said, go out there and find a poacher somewhere instead of stopping me. I told him, I said, I'm just trying to get to that county road. It's only a half a mile down here. I said, it's the only way I can get there from here. He didn't write me a ticket.
You got to get out and push it.
He let me go.
Well,
I mean, I
if
went
you
on
don't-
down the road.
You don't have it registered, do you, for roadworthy?
Oh yeah, I got blinkers, horn, everything.
Well,
to
then
make
you
it
can get
legal.
on the state road.
Not in New Mexico. Not on a state highway.
Oh,
I can drive in
highway.
the county. I can drive on. It's just a 2-lane. I can drive on the county roads. I can drive in the city of Las Cruces. I can drive it around Las Cruces, but I can't drive it down this one little stretch of a state highway right here. I do.
Drive on the
I
side
do
of
all
it.
the time. No, I do all the time. I just take my
Everywhere there's a state road in Arizona, there's a quad trail right next to it. And that's
Yeah.
where all the tweakers, all the people that had DUIs, and all the hunters ride. Is on that 2-track road next to the state highway.
Yeah.
They just busted this summer out here where I live. Well, even off where Brett used to live, off Sandario. They busted like 75 side-by-sides one night.
Damn. It was a
There was-
sting operation.
Well,
There's a
there was a
Where is
there's
that
a
at?
bunch of Tucson down here by
Oh,
my
yeah.
house.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of side-by-side clubs now where guys are kind of like motorcycle gangs, but eat each other's dust. You know,
I
and
got a
they're all
story
like-
when you're done. I got a story about that when you're done.
they're all we're gonna go out to Ajo now, and then they all like Ajo at 5 o'clock or whatever, and they take off, and there must have been like 300 side-by-sides on the roads out here, and yeah, they busted about 7,500 people for stupid shit. You know, no insurance, no license plate, all that stuff. I hate side-by-sides, even though I have one. I hate them.
Yeah. I mean, really, honestly, I mean, I love driving my mule, but honestly, to hunt this desert out here, I mean, you'd be a lot better off just to take off in a side by side,
Yep.
and I do. I mean, I take off and I got some spots where I rake the arroyo, because I've hunted it quite a bit, and if there's a lion come through there, usually there's a few places where I know they cross, and I can hit so much more country. I mean, I can cover that whole desert, like that. Where if I'm on a mule, especially when it gets hot, I can do a 10-mile circle, and that's about it, and then
Yep.
we just don't have the pop or the density here, to make it.
Yeah. Well, it's like
But
some mountain ranges.
I like to be on my mule.
Some mountain ranges down here, there's roads everywhere. And then you go to one and they just got one main road that cuts through the middle of it with a couple fingers off of it, that dead end, and that's it. Those are good ones to take your mule or go on foot in. But some other ones, I mean, shoot, if you don't hunt out of a side-by-side or pickup, you might get a dog get picked up running across the road or something.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard up northern New Mexico, you take a chance of getting dogs stolen.
Yeah.
And some places, because there's a couple places, I forget who I talked to. And I said, man, I'd like to go up there where it's a little bit cooler and hunt. And they said, be careful, man. They steal dogs up there.
Well, it's all you got to do on that is you take some Nair and put it splotchy all over your dog where he loses hair and splotches.
Looks like he's got mange.
And then take a little bit. Remember that spray stuff for the top of your head? You spray a little black in there where it looks kind of rotty. Maybe throw some flour in there and wet it down where it's crusty, and they won't touch them.
I always put need medication on my dog's collars. I don't have my name. I don't have my name on my collars. Nothing. Just my phone number and needs medication.
You put needs medicine daily. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's what I do.
I'll be damn. I didn't know that.
Well, that way, because you get these do-gooders that think we starve our dogs and we punish them. Well, they don't want to take him to the vet to see what he needs for meds. They'll just call me and ask.
Listen, I had one pick up my big blue dog, Luke, and I wasn't far from him. And they called me and said, we have your dog, but it says it needs medicine. I shocked that dog, and I heard him on the phone. I said, oh, my God, is he having a seizure? I'm on my way to get him.
That's
and I went
funny.
and picked him up. They said, he only did it once. I said, well, he just has these little fits. And he's like, and he, yeah. Well, when we was talking about side-by-sides, I pulled over for the little convoy side-by-sides, and I had this dog named El Pato, and he would, every time a side-by-side, I wouldn't pull off the road very far, just where they have to kind of close, and he'd come out of that dog box, right on him. Every time one, and the next one would pass, like he'd come out vicious. He used to bark at cattle guards too. I went over to cattle guard, he'd look down. But he would, every time those bikers, like right now, we have, I think they have a mountain bike race going on. They always do in October. And every time those bikes come by, he would come out of that like he was Cujo, come out of that dog box with his head, yapping, scare the shit out of people.
That, Solo and Blackie, those older dogs I had, they were real shy. They wouldn't. Nobody could catch them. They would just hide and they'd get away. They weren't shy with me, but they were shy with the strangers.
That's good. That's good when a dog won't run up to a stranger.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Solo wasn't as bad as Blackie. Blackie was terrible. When I first got him, he was probably about 9 months old when I got him. And I was up by the wilderness and he got away from me and probably running a javelina or something. And, I went looking for him and I could see him over there, but he wouldn't come to me. So I had to sit down on the ground. I laid down on the ground and I would whistle and he'd get a little closer and a little closer. He's real bashful. Finally got to me and I petted him up. After that, he'd always come to me. He just was a strange dog. He was a good sucker too. And then he just died. I don't know what happened. I think his gut twisted or something.
Well, that happens. Never know. I got one dog right now. It's all swole up. I don't know if she's allergic to dog food or she's done it to me before.
So I got a buddy that lives in Nevada. They caught a bear and his dog swelled up and it was kidneys. His kidneys were failing.
Mm-hmm.
What causes that, you think?
Dog food.
The bad dog food?
Old dog and too high a protein.
I
Too
think
high
it's
of
too high of
protein.
protein for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I've cut her down because she gets fat anyways.
Is she spayed, Chris?
No, I've never bred her though.
I had a lab get, they call it like pyometra or something like that, and it's something to do with their uterus that happens, and their uterus swells, and it's nasty. It killed her.
I think her mom has something like that because they always think she's in heat. You know, I've had dogs lock up with her not being in
Mhm.
heat because she has that smell to her, that maybe an infection, that bloody smell. I don't know.
Could be.
Brett, is it illegal in New Mexico to take someone's GPS collar off a dog and hang it on a T-post with a note saying that took it to the animal shelter? Why would you do that?
Why? What the hell?
That
I
dog
don't.
would
I've
have
never.
to look emaciated, like have to look
Yeah.
lethargic and half dead before I'd pick a dog up. And I wouldn't take the collar off. There's a number on most of the collars. If you don't have a number on your collar, you're kind of a dummy.
I've
I
never.
don't put them on my tracking collars, but I have them on my ID collars.
I've never
Yeah,
heard
but
that
they're on
before.
there.
I
Yeah.
did have a dog picked up one time on that little road leading up to where my camp was. We were sitting there looking, looking at the GPS, and all of a sudden, shit, he's going 35 miles an hour, and I had to. They called me. I mean, they were trying to do good. They thought it was a lost dog, and they called me. I had to drive to town to pick him up.
Yeah, I've
But
had that happen a few times. I've never had anybody take one or pull a collar, but I've had
no,
people
I
take
haven't
one.
either.
We did one time. My buddy had a dog, and they called us saying that we were pieces, or that he was a piece of shit, and he left the dog out for 3 weeks, and the dog's skinny and worthless and can't walk and all this. Dog's been on the mountain for 3 hours, and they were Indians. So then he said they wouldn't give him the dog back, so he called the cops. Cops couldn't do nothing because they're on the reservation, and then somehow he got an Indian buddy that knew the Indian cops, and they did stuff. And then the Indians lost their cell phones or changed cell phone numbers and dumped the dog off at the shelter. But it was like a 2-month ordeal for him.
That's
Hmm.
nuts.
I've never. Of course, I don't hunt. I don't hunt in places where there's a lot of traffic or anything. Where there's a lot of people, and I
That's
mean,
so hard
even
anymore.
yeah,
I
even
mean,
when I was up there at my camp, I mean, there was the rancher down below me. He had his pack of dogs, Randy Lindsay, and then me, and there was one other guy that came up there one time, and then I had guys call me, and they said, "Hey, can we come up there? And we want to come up there and rig bears." I said, "Sure." I said, "Come on up here." I said, "There's a 8-mile road in here." I said, "You can drive down that 8 miles, and you can turn around and drive back down it, and just back and forth. That's all you can do up here." And the rest of it, nobody liked to hunt that country, and because it was straight up and down. I mean, it was terrible, and there's no, if you didn't know the trails, the cowboy trails, or the ones that me and Randy kind of broke out, you couldn't get around up there, and it took me forever to learn, where I could go. I mean, like I told everybody, I didn't know everywhere I could go, but I knew places I couldn't go, and it was terrible. My old mule, speaking of that, my old mule that I rode all
Oh
that
yeah.
country with died day before yesterday. He It was kind of a sad deal. I had him on retirement. I started, Jet Johnson was his name. And I bought him. He was 14 years old when I bought him 15, 16 years ago. And he laid down out there and he couldn't get back up. And so I went down out there, and he was a big old pet. He'd always meet me at the gate. He was a good mule. He'd buck with you, but he couldn't buck hard enough to throw a fat woman. And I went out there and sat next to him and took him some feed and sat next to his head and fed him, and he ate. He ate. And I thought, man, I said, I hope this sucker. And he didn't act like he was suffering. And I thought, well, I hope he dies tonight, because I don't know if I could bring. I've shot some horses, but I didn't know if I could bring myself to shoot him. I
Well,
thought, well,
Brett, we usually talk after the show Monday, and Brett calls me and
Oh,
All of a sudden he
geez.
has dogs out, and he has a jip in heat, and that he's he says, I gotta go. He had 2 dogs out.
In with her.
One dog
But she,
in with that jip.
yeah, but I don't think she was. I don't think she was letting him do anything because she was backed up in the back of the doghouse,
Yeah.
and he was laying there. And then that running dog, he was out on the outside trying to figure out how. And I was almost as mad as I was with that knucklehead. Oh, I
Yeah.
was
So he
mad
had
at those
dogs
male
out,
dogs. I was
jips
mad
in
at them.
heat. His mule was dying. It was a
Wasn't
bad
very-
Monday.
Yeah, it wasn't very good at all. But
Oh,
I fixed
boy.
them. She's out here in the horse trailer right now. I got mad one time. I had like 4 females, and it seemed like they all came in season at the same time. I loaded them up and took them to the vet and got them all spayed. I said, I'm not putting up with this crap anymore. I only got 2 that have their baby making stuff with them now.
Yeah.
This dog,
know-
though, she's the one I want to go. I think I'm gonna try to get her bred to. If she proves herself, she's got to prove herself this winter. But the way she trailed that lion the other day in 92-degree weather was just absolutely amazing to me. I mean, and I don't say much, but she was picking up loses and she was moving that track, and she no babbling, no nothing. When she barked, she had it, and she would be always, I call it moving it forward. She was always moving it forward, looking, and then whoa. And those older dogs didn't honor her for a long time, but pretty soon, man, they started running to her every time she'd pick up that track. And her daddy's like that. Al, he's like that. He's real, but Al's pretty trashy. You got to watch him. He'll move a fox track forward pretty good too. But she's a good dog, and she's little. She's only about 35 pounds, and real tight, cat-footed, and tight in the flank. I like a dog that's not sloppy. I like an athletic-looking dog. So I'm going to try to take her. The guy who bought that expensive dog there at the mule sale, I'd sold him a couple dogs, and he told me, he said, if you ever need to breed to this dog, you just let me know. And so I got to get in touch with him again and make sure that dog's. I know Breck Bean has one of my dogs, and he's the one who sold that dog, and I talked to him about him, and I might see if I can, be some outside blood breed her to him. Might turn out good, you never know like that, and it might turn out to be a bunch of idiots.
I
I've
say
seen
that
good
stuff all the
dogs
time.
bred. I've seen 2 good dogs bred and nothing come out of it. I've seen
Michael Jackson's kids never made the NBA. Or Michael
Michael
Jordan, not Michael Jackson.
Jordan.
they all look the same.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Hear about that one.
It's just a joke. I mean nothing by it.
We'll get flagged for that one. Yeah, but do you guarantee it? As long as you don't guarantee it, you're safe. Yeah.
No, you don't. It was my analogy to that is always like you're going to cross. Said, you got like crossing these running dogs with a pot licker, with these dry ground hounds. You're going to take one of these running walkers and cross it. Well, you're hoping you're going to get the traits from a running walker and the good traits of the good dry ground lion hounds, the cold nose and everything, and then the running walker that'll really move a track, pick his head up. And then the running walkers, the ones I've been around, have extreme endurance. I mean, they can go real good footed. So you think you're going to get that, but I always say it's like the old Ford Ranchero. Maybe you get the worst qualities of both. You think you're gonna get a truck that like a car. Instead, you get a car that you can't haul anything out of because it's too little, and you have the worst traits of both. So it's kind of a crapshoot.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I think you can breed good dogs to good dogs, but just because it's a good dog doesn't mean it's a producer. That's a big
That's
difference.
exactly
It
right.
doesn't guarantee you're going to get that same product.
Yeah, a lot of these backyard breeders don't understand that, and I'm not saying I don't breed dogs. I have friends that have done lions for years, and I trust them, and that's where I get dogs from. But I've seen some of their good dogs, really nice dogs, throw okay puppies. But and then you have another dog that's just as nice a dog that throws track stars or superstars every time. So
Will be
it's
frozen.
no fault
Sorry.
of the dog. Some dogs are just not a proven producer versus a hell of a dog. A dog can be one of the best line dogs you've ever been around, but it doesn't mean his offspring are going to catch shit.
Exactly. And I've bred pretty tight for the last few years. I had that solo dog, and he was a real good producer. And I mean, a lot of these guys, got pups out of him, and then they bred to him, and then Booger produces good, and these guys have bred to him. But I've bred pretty tight. I had Jazz and them, and I bred back and forth, and that's why I think it might be good to go to breed to some outside dog and just see what happens. And it's going to be, I'm sure,
Why?
I'm getting
Why
a
would
little
Chuck?
age on me myself, so I don't
Why
have a
would
lot.
Chuck? Why would Chuck cook a plot?
It's only good thing you can do with a plot.
Why would Chuck what?
If you want meat in the pot, got to get a plot. What if you want meat in the pot? Why? I don't know why you'd cook a plot. Is that all they're good for? Is the meat or what?
I'm not gonna say nothing.
Hey, Orville Fletcher told me one time the best lion hound he ever had was a plot.
There's
I'm
good
yet
and
to
bad
see
in
one.
every color. It's what you like to look at.
Well,
Yeah,
I
don't know.
think
I've never had one.
I think you could probably take 100 poodles, and out of those 100 is going to be a good lion dog. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
That's
You
what they
see
say.
all these weird dogs.
How would you like to pull up somewhere and have a bunch of poodles hanging their heads out of your dog box?
I brought that up because I have the vet girl we bring on. She raises those big old dumb poodles. She sent me a picture of it today, and I sent a throw up picture back. But I said we're gonna put that dog on bear. But I tell you what, you
My dad
never know.
My
Them
dad tells
poodles
this
don't
story
look
about.
much different than an Airedale.
Oh, now you're getting personal. My dad tells this story. There was a guy named Jim Bollock, and he had a big old mean Doberman pinscher. I mean, he was a big, and he rode around the back of his pickup. Said he pulled, and we used to live. I was just a kid. We lived on West Ella Drive, and Jack came, or not Jim. It was Jack Bollock pulled up there and stopped, and there was a big old standard poodle that lived across the road down there. And all trimmed up, you know how they trim those poodles up. So that poodle came down there and jumped in the back of that truck and just beat the hell out of that Doberman pinscher. Jack, he said that was the most embarrassing thing I ever had.
I heard they're aggressive dogs. They're mean dogs. Then they used them for hunting. They used them for hunting back east, right? Or in Europe or somewhere, right?
Something. I don't know much about them.
They're supposed to have brains, they say.
Smart. Yeah, real smart.
I mean, how many you hear all the time that people have some strange dog with their hounds and they're the best treeing dog, or they'll go trail with those hounds. You just, I guess, never know. Geese dog. Poodles are natural tree dogs. Well, there you go. If you got a good trailing dog and send those poodles in after, I think it'd be funny, especially if you trimmed them up all pom-pom style.
There you go.
Boxers too. Coming from Tim. I don't know. So all you can do is try it. I think you really have to think outside the box.
Who was the old guy, not the young guy, but the old guy out of like the Prescott area that ran GSP crosses with his hounds?
That was what was his name? I like that guy. He was another one of the reasons I started making videos. Dave Carlson.
Okay.
He was an absolute character. I talked to him on the phone, and then he would do those report cards. I got some of those DVDs here somewhere. He sent them to me. He'd do these report cards. He would take people's dogs in and train them. And and he would make these report cards, and he was trailing the line. The dogs were on the other side of the canyon, and he could cuss a blue streak, man. He'd say, "I'm on this MF and jackass, and it's going to take me 3 days to get over there where those dogs are." And I don't ever know what happened to him. I tried to find him not too long ago, and I don't know what happened to him. Dave Carlson. He had that video of that lion on top of that rock and that German short hair on top, that pointer dog up there on top of that rock with that
Mhm.
lion, and that lion would go to the edge, and that dog would bite her on the tail, and that lion would spin around. That dog would run around to the other side. It was pretty cool.
My wife's got a little GSP pointer, and when I would let it run with the hounds, it was the trashiest little thing as a puppy. I mean, it just naturally wanted to hunt harder than a hound did. My hounds. I mean,
What, range out too far?
it would go didn't matter what it was. It would be a squirrel. And it would dive underneath, a dead tree and start tearing that tree apart.
That's what Ben Lilly said about Airedales. Said that, Airedales were good dogs, but they just soon chase a squirrels they would a bear or a lion.
They just wanted to eat something. Did Daryl Fry hunt cur dogs for lion? I knew a rancher.
Yeah.
He would
Kimmer
cross
curs.
those black-mouth curs with a Labrador, and that's how he would go catch his cattle. But those dogs' feet, they would follow me in my little 80 Toyota in Tunnel Basin for 20 miles. They didn't care. They'd go back to the ranch with me. They'd all day long with me. And the next day, they'd do it again. They had some solid feet. But he would call me and he says, "Hey, you want this black-mouth cur?" And she's trashy, though. I said, what do you mean? Well, all she wants to do is chase bobcats all day. I said, well, I guess I'll take that trashy piece of crap.
I'll take it off your hands.
He said, you know what he said? He said, she's spayed, though. So I get her home and she has puppies, and 4 weeks later. I thought you said this dog was fixed. Well, I thought she was. Had a bunch of leopard-looking dogs. So
I don't know. There's been a lot of people that I know Airedales have a bad name, but with a lot of, because they were taken in by the show crowd, quite a bit. But if you got into the right line of them, there's some of those guys. I don't even know if the red line, they call them red line. I don't even know if they were really that good. But back in the old days, there used to be some pretty good ones.
They say they'll bring some grit.
I think people like.
I had a whole bunch of them. I had like 20-something Airedales at one time.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I took in a kennel. The guy, he had them. They were neat dogs. He had dogs imported from South Africa, and then Germany. And I mean, he had gone all in. He made money. He was a doctor too. I think he was a con man more than anything else. But I'd bought a couple dogs from him, and he called me one day, and I talked to him often. He called me one day. He said, "Hey, I had a heart attack." He said, "I'm going to put all these dogs to sleep." He said, "If somebody don't take them." And so I took them, and I bred. And the only way I could afford to feed them is raise puppies and sell them. We got $600 a piece for puppies.
Oh,
and,
man.
Yeah, that was and this was back in the late 80s. And man, we took them, and I trained dogs for people. We groomed up this is my ex-wife. We took them in and groomed them. We boarded them. We did everything. I mean, it was a total operation, and it was nothing but work. Let me tell you what. But I always had a lot of cash.
Yep. Dude, once you hit 20-some dogs, it's just a chore.
Cleaning dog pens and
nonstop.
I had some.
Especially on a kennel.
I had some that were, I mean, they were that one I had a big old dog. His name was Bogan from Africa, and I used to trim him, and I'd trim him with a mohawk, and he weighed about 90 pounds, and he was a double tough sucker. I mean, he could kill another dog pretty easily. I mean, he was a nice dog. The one from Germany, he was more like he was real biddable. I mean, he just, he was like an obedience dog, and he didn't care a lick about hunting or anything. I used to take him out and try to hunt. I told everybody I was hunting, but I had no chance of catching anything.
Well,
I'm gonna hop off.
I
I gotta go pick up a kid.
Okay.
Well, it's good seeing you.
Yep, you too.
Take it easy, man.
I think people like to experiment. Labrador's nose is so meticulous in smell. I mean, what happens if you breed that with a hound? Would you make a better nose if you put a little lab in it and then brought it back to hound? Or
well, I think Go ahead.
Honestly, after that one guy in Prescott with the GSP cross, I think that's about the only not the only cross. There's always gonna be other stuff, but that cross would be something special. If you want to make like a bobcat dog or something, I don't know how cold the nose of the dog would be, but that GSP my wife has, you know, we're getting him on quail and stuff, but he don't quit and he hunts hard. He
I
hunts
tell
real
you
good.
what, I think their style, you say not the coldest nose, but their
Yeah.
style, the way they use their nose, I think
Yes.
would be a great benefit because they're going to use it on the air. They're not going to be sticking their nose down on a track. They're going to
Yep.
have their nose up in the air and probably real fast when they get on something.
Now, I wonder how they would do on bear. You know, you get up and get a burning hot bear track and start cutting some hound crosses with GSP or I mean, they're gritty dogs.
I mean, if I was going to run bear, I would find. I know a lot of people probably disagree, but I would find a good line of Airedales and maybe breed them into it. You know,
I've heard of guys they let their hounds trail the bear. I'm not much of a bear hunter, so I might sound stupid. But they get the bear jumped and going and he's walking the dogs. And then that bear starts crossing the road. They'll jump like these giant 30, 40-pound terriers in on that bear when he hits the road. And it looks like a 12-year-old on a horse's back, just rawr, and just the bear's just bucking.
really.
And then they say that those dogs will make them climb because they do not care about that bear. They'll latch on and just hold on.
I wonder how many dogs they lose.
I have no clue.
I had a female that was she was a half sister to that Hoover dog I had, and Hoover was a good bear dog. I mean, I caught bears when I had him, and then I had Missy. And it's kind of a strange deal. I made a video, and I was wrong in the video. We trailed a lion up past where a bear was in a den hole and ruminating. What do you call that? Not hibernating, but what do you call that, Chris? Chris can't hear me. Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh,
And
look at
I
Chris.
know
He's
what you're
frozen.
talking about.
But anyway, that bear came out of that hole, and those dogs, I didn't know it at the time. Rumation, yeah.
There
And
you go.
I was there with Robert Pino, and I looked at the GPS, and Booger and another dog, they kept going. And I looked at that GPS, and I said, Missy is just, she's not moving. Something's wrong. She's not moving. And that's when I discovered it was a bear, because when I went up there, I thought maybe they tackled the lion bit her on the back of the head and killed her or something. But when I got up there, she was sprawled out like that and blood coming out of her nose. She'd just been swatted and got her neck broke.
Oh, shoot.
But she was tough. I mean, she went in there and got a hold of that bear.
Yep.
Hey,
share
this is Knucklehead.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Oh, maybe he should have went live for that. You know,
Oh, man.
we was going to talk about camping, then we got into undercover stuff.
Yep. You know, when you
So-
start talking about green jeans, man, every houndsman gets nervous.
Because they try to.
They try to.
God, I'm excited.
They try to get us in the wrong, even if we ain't in the wrong.
My bear season is open Friday. I just had to come set up camp because
You ain't losing that camp spot.
yeah. Well, I have a concert to go to tomorrow night, and it's in Phoenix.
Oh,
So, and then I got people coming in tomorrow here, and then I just found out I have to go take my neighbor to the doctor in the morning. So she kind of don't have nobody, and
yeah.
so I'll go take her to the doctor in the morning. I got people pulling in here, so my camp ain't empty, but it opens Friday, and I got Lyndon and Trevor got their tags we went and got tags yesterday at Game and Fish, so they were all happy about it.
See if you can't get one going.
So I'm gonna shut this unit down.
There you go.
I'm gonna make more bears for next year. So I'm here till Wednesday at least.
No walking.
I'll pull out Thursday. If it shuts down Wednesday, if it's not, I might just I'll probably do a lot of free casting this weekend, and then Monday I might run home, grab my mule, and do some just running around. I got some lions right here at a mountain close to me too, so I planned on doing it today. I just didn't get it.
You got to go find that Thumper Tom down south.
I know where he is. I know how he's gonna run. I think that's the same one we got. Man, he's gonna be a big one. I do. Kind of waiting for November where it's a little cooler, but shoot, right now.
Right now is when you want to get them.
It's a little bit.
Remember when we were at the rendezvous?
Mm-hmm.
And Casey was talking about Wade lives in Tucson here.
Yeah.
Wade loves hunting lions in 104. Because he says you're either going to catch them or you're not. And usually on those hard running lions, your dogs will outlast them in 104.
Because the lions will just find somewhere to chill.
Yeah. Well, especially if you get a lion like last year I caught a lion off a water tank.
Mm-hmm.
When I was going up the wash into the tree, there was big old pools of white foam in the wash. I think he was throwing up on the way to the tree.
You said 104. What do you mean by 104
degrees?
Oh, see, my dogs aren't in good enough shape. If my dogs were in good enough shape,
I think if you carried water and you could keep up and keep them watered, or if you were running next to water, maybe.
I took
but they don't. Those dogs ain't going to stop to drink.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to go far. It's going to happen fast if it's going to happen.
Yeah, if it's a hot enough track.
Yeah, but Casey was. You remember that too, Brett? Casey was talking about Wade catching lions in 104. Them hard running lions, when it's cool out, they just don't hang out in a tree very long.
Well,
those wild lions.
Well, I know that from up at camp. I mean, we had a couple females up there and that was one of the problems with that country. You know, we'd trail and get her jump, and she'd run a ways and then climb a tree, and then it would take me on my mule. It would take me, maybe an hour to get up there, and I'd get within, 150, 200 yards of the tree. Bam, jump. She could run across the canyon tree again. Yep. And then I'd have to go back down and around. The dogs would have her treat again. I did that. If you ever watch one of my videos, I'm sitting there at the end of the day, and I mean, it's dark and the sun's going down, and the dogs are up the canyon, and I'm toning them to get them back. And I say, man, it's been all day long like this. And but they brought in there was that I don't know. I assumed it was the same female. I don't know that it was, but she would kill calves too. And she would kill and eat what she wanted, and then leave. She'd make another kill. And they brought in
government trapper.
No, it was a lion hunter out of Winston. I can't remember his name. Hell of a good hunter. I mean, been up there hunting forever. Not Mike Root, but another guy. And he hunted for 24 days, and he finally got her caught and killed. And he said, don't ever ask me to come back. He said, there's easier country to catch lions in than right here. And
there it is.
I believe him. I believe him. Oh, you guys are just dying to find out what Knucklehead told me.
Oh yeah, they are.
He confessed.
What'd he say?
He said, I'm undercover. I've been trying to catch Benny for years.
Does he guarantee it though?
He guaranteed, give me another month and I'll get him caught.
Yeah.
No, he said he's going to come on. I said, I apologize. We hugged and kissed and made up, and I told him, I said, I apologize for getting so mad. I said, I have a real problem with it when somebody tries to threaten me. I mean, I blew up. I'm sorry. And I said, I shouldn't have. And he said, I might have went over the line too. So nice. And I said, We'll give you the platform to defend yourself. I said, come on. I said,
Yeah.
on a Monday night, I said, when you're around, I said, I'll send you a link. I said, if you got a smartphone, you click on that link and you'll be on. And I said, you can, state your case, tell us.
Yep.
But beware, we're not easy.
No, hell no. And we're going to just sit back. We'll put Benny on one side and him on the
Yeah.
other side. Go.
Yep. That'd be a good one.
Yep.
Might be a viral one.
Maybe.
Benny, you're going to
The
have to think
ballad-
of a good title for it, Chris.
The Ballad of Benny and the Undercover Guy.
Be interesting. He was real nice. He said he was out. He said, well, I've had bear hunters out. He said, I've been out. Sorry, I didn't return your calls. He said, I've been out with my bear hunters. And
Where?
New Mexico.
I didn't ask him.
Ain't it?
Must-
Oh no, New
Yeah.
Mexico slows
Mexico.
down, isn't it?
No, it's not. I was lying. I just trying to keep all the Arizona guys out of
Well,
here.
I don't think Arizona's open anywhere. Maybe they are. I don't think
No,
so.
New
don't
Mexico's
think so.
open. No,
Well-
this area right up here is open. That's why I was trying to get you to come down with your bear dogs, Chris.
Yeah.
And let's catch a bear. I'll tag it. I got a tag.
Burn yours up.
Burn mine up.
Hmm.
And then I got
Undercut.
that dog. If we'll run that dog. I'll bring that half brother to that expensive dog. And if you
Yep.
like him, you're more than welcome to have him, because I don't know that he's going to make a lion hound. Maybe he is. He hasn't seen a lion yet either. So
How old is he?
Like Calvin isn't around.
he's probably coming 2 years old. He's not very
2 years.
old. I mean, for a dry ground lion hound, I still believe that, depending on how many lions you can show them, but I still don't think they can develop much until they're after 2,
Yep.
pounding the dirt real hard. And especially where I've been for the last 5 years, we just don't have many lions here.
And you don't knock a lot down to him, do you?
Mm-mm. Well, no.
See, I always do. Not every tree, but if I got a bunch of young dogs there, that lion's not walking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I tested this theory because I used to not shoot lions at all. Unless it was a giant thumper tom.
Yeah.
I didn't care. But I talked to this old timer, and he said, "You want to see a good pack of dogs?" He's like, "Wait till they hunt to eat."
I
And
Yeah.
so I shot 9 or 11 lions out in the span of 6 months.
oh, wow. You make some dogs that way.
And freaking, my buddies had a great time in Nevada, I'll tell you that much. And I wasn't going out just clearing a mountain range, but my wife works with this gal, and her husband was a biologist for Nevada, and he was all like, "Dude, you got to, like, otherwise he was trying to get funding for neck snaring and everything else." So I was like, "Well, I'd like to hunt there in the summer, so I'm going to go do it then."
I really believe that it puts a lot more fire in them at the end of the track. I mean,
when they hit a lion track after 5 or 6 of them lions and chewing on them, and you're feeding them at the tree, next time they hit one, there's no question that that's a lion.
you can read them so much better.
Yeah, I mean, they hit it, and the intensity's way different compared, because you can tell when they're playing with the gray fox a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
And so
yeah. I mean, you can tell, but sometimes I'm like those hounds. I get a little, too optimistic.
oh yeah, just like everything,
But
Especially when
yeah,
you're on a
but
dry spell.
I always say it's it's kind of like that rattlesnake rattle. When you hear it, you know it. I mean,
Yep.
you hear a lot of things
Yeah.
that sound like a rattlesnake, but when you hear it, you know it's a rattlesnake. And it's
Yep.
the same thing when those dogs start that lion track. It's a little bit different. Just
Yep.
like there's no way my dogs would have messed with a fox in that 92, 93 degree weather the other day. The way they did that lion track. There's just no way.
Yep. And man, that year was probably the best pack of dogs I ever had. That couple years right there, or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It does help out,
Oh man,
but it's hard when you're hunting by yourself.
it's really hard, and and then that year, when I was living in Nevada, I didn't work winters. I had 4 months off. I told my boss from Thanksgiving to a little bit past Valentine's Day, I wasn't working. Sometimes I wouldn't work from Thanksgiving to March 1st. I just go out hunting. But,
He makes his wife work extra hard.
yep, that's right. Someone's got to pay the bills around here.
He has her following me too. He gets pictures
Yep.
of me all over the state.
Yeah. Chris passed her on the freeway going to Phoenix the other day. She's because she always sends me pictures of guys with dog boxes in the bed of their truck. She's all, do you know who this guy is? And it was Chris's truck and his horse trailer going to Phoenix.
And there's lots of guys I'd rather have around my wife besides Chris.
Right?
Yeah, she's probably pregnant now, just passing me on the freeway.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt that at all with how many kids you've got.
The ones
This
we
happens.
know about.
Yeah.
This happens. It's kind of chilly out here tonight. I didn't realize I was at 7,500 feet either. My cousin's generator was kind of putting out, and he says, maybe it's elevation. I'm like, we're not that much higher. And I look it up, and we're 7,500 feet.
What's the temperature like there, Chris?
My phone says it says 66 right now, 65 where I'm at. Feels like it's about 55 though.
I'd be wearing a sweatshirt.
How cold will it be in the morning, you reckon? 52?
I don't know.
53?
I didn't bring a hoodie. This is what I got. I just came out here for tonight, get set up. I set up that stupid big old tent by myself. I hope no one was recording me out nowhere. I had to turn the camera off for that one.
So you kind of fit that thing like my grandfather always said. Where there's no sense, there's no feeling.
That's right.
Yep. So
you got to get that tent I got, Chris. That takes me 10 minutes to set up.
Can't fit 6 people in it.
Is your whole family up there or coming up there?
Yeah. Well, so I got this girl that I don't like coming up. And I say that because she's watching right now, and I always tease her about not liking her, and I call her bad names, and I'm really mean to her. And then her and her husband, and then I got another couple coming up. So, but they're all Mexican, so I'll be the minority in the camp. My dad's coming up, and then my wife, my boys are coming up Friday. We'll go hunt Friday, and then Saturday they got a soccer game. Then my wife will come out for the rest of the weekend.
It's one thing about bear hunting. It's kind of a social event for a lot of people. Bear camp.
I don't like a lot of people. I don't know. I'm gonna do a lot of free casting. I'm not gonna do I might do a little rigging early wherever my bait sites are. My bait.
You got
piles.
your mule?
No, not this weekend. Once everybody's gone, then I'll grab my mule and go cut country.
There you
go.
So
only mule I got is my Bruin.
Bear hunting's pretty dangerous.
What's that?
That's how I caught. That's how I got that bear last month. Cody Lynn dropped me off, and I just cross country and we jumped it. So I know where all the feed areas are, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, I do. So
how many years have you hunted that same spot, Chris?
Since 2005.
Oh shoot.
So you know it pretty good.
Yeah, I know it. It has a lot of roads, and it's super. If you bring someone in here, they just get lost. When I first got in here, my buddy was like, "You're here," and I'm like, "Man, I don't know," but it's not that. Once you get, it's just I got a unit to the south and west of me or east of me that's closed. I got reservation to the south of me, so in order for them to get to the reservation, they have to cross that closed unit because all them New Mexicans came over here and shut it down. That's who I'm blaming.
That's a shame.
Yep.
I wish I was healthy enough to make the trip, have fun at bear camp. Yeah, Lauren was supposed to come, but she's a big puss.
Well, where's
Why?
she at? Is that the
She's
one I
at
see
home.
on Facebook all the time?
She's at
Yeah.
home whining. And she got boo
Wisconsinite.
boos.
Wisconsin, yeah. Yeah, she's got those blue dogs, right?
Yeah,
You-
total puss. She's sick. So I don't know. I told her just find someone to drive you here.
Yep.
So she was supposed to go to Idaho. Then she was going to come here. It was like same drive.
Well,
She's not up to it.
I know she's listening. I get them confused. Is she the one that came down hunted with me? And,
Yes.
And Colton went down there coon hunting. I was miserable.
She got. Oh crap! Here we go. I didn't want to say what she had, but she said it. I've got lime, babesia, Barcelona, and I don't know. I've never ate none of that stuff.
That's what happens when you go to those kind of places.
Yeah, yeah.
You can pick up
Wisconsin.
anything.
That's what happens when you eat
Dude.
Wisconsin.
I remember growing up, I grew up in South Dakota. And I remember fixing my cousin's fence in the summers, and I'd pull 60 ticks off me in a day.
Jeez.
You know, you're going through the sloughs and like the real wet spots and everything. It was miserable. So, yeah.
Just drink a little bleach. It'll all go away.
That's right. Ah, man. But yeah, now I'm living out west, man. I don't ever deal with ticks, and it's amazing.
Yeah, they're not that too bad. And up here, it's cold up here, so I'll get them in the summer. I've gotten fleas real bad before, but I just take my 7 dust and 7 dust everything. So, but it gets cold enough here in the winter that it's not too bad. I have to get a pick line.
IV antibiotics for a month at least. Jeez.
Just take some of that dog penicillin. Go take some ivermectin. I'll kill it.
There you go.
Well, too bad you didn't get to come hunt with us. Oh.
I wasn't invited.
You don't need no invitation to show up here. You just got to show up.
Oh, well, I don't even know. You didn't tell me where you're at.
Got Onyx.
I got a job. I got 2 things I can do. I can go to interview Steve Smith. He called me and said he was going to be available Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And then Mike Root called me and asked me if I would lead a pack train down into the Animus for him.
Gosh,
You wanna do that pack train?
Is he dumping T-posts in for the Forest Service there?
They're working trail, and he's
Okay.
packing in their lunches or their food and all their gear.
Bringing them some bologna.
It's into the wilderness there, and he's been packing T-posts and stays and everything all summer. He's been busy all summer doing it.
I called him last summer seeing if he needed help because I need to learn how to do that stuff a little bit better. I'm probably terrible at it.
Mike could be a good one.
I called him and he was all mad. He's like, well, I got these bear hunts coming up and the stupid Forest Service is dragging their feet on this. And he's all, I got like 10 miles of T-posts to bring in or something. And
Well, yeah,
I'm waiting for everything to get done. And then that's the last thing I heard from him about
he's
it.
He's got an elk hunter coming in, and that's why he's got to take the elk hunter, and he asked if I could go down and lead his pack train. And all they're doing is he's just packing in panniers, not no top packs or anything like that. So it'd be pretty easy. I just got to go up there and take my mule and lead them down to the bottom of that canyon, unload everything, and lead them back out. It'd take all day long. It's not going to be, know, but it's down into the Animus, and I've been all through that country. I know it pretty good. So,
man,
I had to stop drinking. That's a shame.
That's terrible.
Just drink twice as much.
That's probably why you're. That's probably why you're sick.
Wisconsin person.
That's why she's grumpy.
Quit drinking for a Wisconsin person is pretty tough.
Yeah, can't drink that
Isn't
good
that
beer.
like the drunkest state in the U.S., Wisconsin?
I don't know.
I think I saw a thing I think it's number 1
For what?
for drinking.
Oh, I think you're right.
And well, I mean, when it gets down to minus 40, there's not a whole lot you can do.
It gets so damn cold during the wintertime. All you can do is go to the pub and drink.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I might do that pack trip. I might
That'd be fun.
lead them down in there and take old Bonnie girl. I be anxious to see Bonnie's a walking son of a gun, though. I might have a mismatch in speed.
Yeah.
they better keep up.
She can go now. I got her jump the other day. I got a video coming out, her jumping up a deal. I've been working with her a little bit. I want to get her where I at least take the top strand down off a 5-strand barbed wire fence and jump her over it.
Oh man.
Put a tarp over it.
Mm-hmm.
The world would be open to me then.
Yeah.
But
Hard to jump them pack mules over though, ain't it?
well, no, I mean I would have to just be with her,
Mm-hmm.
But I've been packing Clyde. I got some trips. I'm gonna go into some different country this year. Everything works out. Get up.
Yeah.
Go into some of that country that nobody really hunts, Not many people hunt the wilderness anymore.
Because you can't take your buggy back there, and that's everybody is getting out. Everybody's getting out. The COVID, everybody's getting out, but they went out and they bought $100,000 trailers. They went out and they bought $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 side by sides, and they take them out 2, 3, maybe 4 times a year.
Yeah.
And the wilderness, you have to walk or take a mule or horse. That's why I like hunting them.
Oh yeah.
So I got a bunch down south I can hunt, and there's some up here I can hunt.
The Gila, it's huge. It's a big wilderness. And then it ties into the Black Range, and it used to be all one wilderness, but then they split it in half, or the Aldo Leopold Wilderness is what they call it. All the old timers call it the Black Range, and then the Gila's on the other side, and you got that North Star Road that splits it in half. And I went up there this summer. I spent some time up there on that North Star Road, and I rode Bonnie around up in there a little bit. I don't know it very well. I've packed through it. I've packed from my camp all the way across into the Gila Wilderness. And then we packed from Willow Creek all the way down we didn't make it to my camp. We made it close, but that's a different when you're traveling. It's just so much different. And I love that. I mean, it's absolutely after 2 days being out there, just packing and traveling every day, something happens to you. I'm serious. I know it sounds like foo-foo shit, but it really changes you, the way you see things, the way you feel. Time changes is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, you're not hitting brake pedal or throttle. You're just kind of meandering through life.
And no one can get a hold of you. Like, I have an inReach that my wife can get a hold of me on every now and then, but other than that, like when I didn't work in Nevada for those 4 months, God, life was great.
Oh, yeah.
My truck broke down. This was like in December, January. My truck broke down, and I was going stir crazy at the house. So we had this 1977 Ford truck bed that we turned into a trailer, and I put a topper on top of it, and we pulled that out. She dumped me off in the bottom of the mouth of a canyon, and I lived there for a week till my truck got fixed.
It's so nice if you have somebody that can dump you off, whether you're recasting, whether you're camping, whether you're packing or hiking, because then you don't have to turn around and come back.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Slash Ranch was probably, I mean, from where I'm at right now, it's quite a ways, but from my camp, I mean, as the crow flies, it was probably about 40, 50 miles maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And that, the best I can tell, they supposedly, now I've heard other stories, but the last grizzly bear that was killed in that country was killed probably not 4 miles from where my camp was. But I've heard from anonymous sources that there was other grizzly bears killed since that time. So
they'll be back soon.
Stories.
Do what?
I I think I heard the same stories. Like they killed the boar first, and then they killed a female, and then 10 years later they killed another female or something like that.
I think this one was a big boar. I think I read it in the book / Ranch Hounds,
Yeah.
and I can't remember, but I remember when I was reading it, trying to put it together because I read it when I was up there at camp and trying to put it together and thinking, oh, that's close to where I'm at, And they stayed after that bear for a week, I think, and finally got him caught.
A lot of old timers used to do that. They get on an animal and they wouldn't come off of it until they caught her or him or whatever. Like,
Yeah, that's always been my goal. Now I've done a 2-day lion where I trailed him all day the day before, and then I trailed him the next day and caught him. But I always wanted to be one, just stay on it and 3 days and keep trailing, figuring it out. You take a lot of dog power too, you're
absolutely.
and just stay on it and camp out and stay on the track. And of course that's kind of what do you call it, romantic type deal, and run trailing for 4 or 5 days and catch him on the 5th day. And
you feel like you're playing chess with them.
Yeah. And the one I caught for 2 days, basically, I got the video up. I mean, I videoed it all, and I guessed right. I mean, I moved down below, and because I thought the dogs had quit. It got hot, and they just kind of quit. When I got to them, they were all just kind of milling around, and everything. And then I rode around the mountain. I checked the saddle, and Booger started trailing again. I found that track, and he was going down into this canyon, which I'd been through a lot of times before. And so I went back. I had a tent set up, and I went back and stayed at the tent. And the next morning I got up early and I drove down the road, and then I parked and I got out and I split that country in half. And, and when they got trailed to where that it was a big old Tom. When they trailed to where where he had killed that elk, it was like a 3-day-old track. The day before, when we trailed across the country, they trailed like he was right there in front of them. Bah, 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 moving it. And then that next day, man, it was slow. And man, I almost accused them of trashing a little bit on me. And then I found the track, and we came down, trailed around. Then, I got behind the dogs a little bit, and I finally but they got quiet. I thought, what the hell's going on? When I got there, that lion killed a big old cow elk, and the dogs were all milling around that kill, and the lion, shut his scent off. No, they're not shut his scent off. There was too much scent there. It's pulled up, But then pretty soon, old Booger, he peeled out, and bah, bah, bah. And then I don't know how far the lion was from the kill. I bet he was pretty damn close. But then they still went, a few miles up through there. And I got off wrong. I didn't check my GPS. I thought I could hear him, but it was an echo coming down the canyon. So I got off wrong, and I had to come back, and Booger had him caught out on a ledge out there. And there's Booger and Rusty, and I had Al. Al beat them all, but I think Al was pretty young, and I think he overtook that lion, and it scared him a little bit because he was pretty young. But he's a real fast track dog, and I did not kill that Tom. And looking back on it, I should have. Because I thought, he was a nice big Tom, had part of his ear missing, and I mean, in his old shoulders, he was humped down on that ledge, and his shoulders stuck up real high, and his head looked that big, and I thought, gosh darn. And so I said, my grandson needs to kill one of these. So I hauled ass home, and I got my grandson. We got out there the next morning. I said, I didn't disturb him much. When he left, he just went down, thing. And I called the dogs, and I went back there the next morning early, and with my grandson, I said, we'll catch this Tom on this kill. He'll come back to this kill. And we trailed here and there, and we couldn't get it sorted out for nothing. Well, comes to find out, this is all speculation. I think that Tom was there, but I think there was a female in there too with a big cub, and there was just tracks everywhere. And So then I called Mike Root and I asked Mike, I said, hey, I said, I couldn't catch this lion today. I said, but if you have some hunters in here, I said, he's a trophy now. He's a nice Tom. And so Mike came up let's see. Yeah, they came up that night. I went back home, took my grandson home, and I came back early the next morning, and Mike was there with 2 guys from New York. And we ended up catching the little Tom. We didn't catch him. I don't know what happened to that big sucker, but maybe he's still up there somewhere. He was a nice Tom. I mean, just nice.
Man. Go get him. Go get
him. That country right there where I was hunting, that's good country. And I hunted it quite a bit. We caught that little Tom. But yeah, we caught some lions in there. And it's good country. And it's easy to get around in. And a lot of it is it looks like it's private. It's not private, but it's landlocked with private around it. And so if you don't, and a buddy of mine, I get to hunt their ranch, and I used to hunt the other ranch too all the time. A friend of mine was the manager on it, but they traded hands. But my buddy put me a horse gate right out of his place. It's a long drive to get back in there, but I can take that horse gate and hit all that good country that nobody gets to.
That's a nice little spot then.
Yeah, there's a lot of deer in there, and there's elk in there, and I took that guy, I can't remember his name right now. I took him in there and got him a bear one year, and there's some bears in there. That kind of bothers me. I don't have my dogs broke off bears, but we got him a nice little bear.
There you go.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, shot him on the ground. The dogs were trailing. I looked up, and that bear was going up the side of the mountain, and the bear stopped. I said, "Get off and shoot!" And he didn't have his gun. So I handed him my 30-30. I said, shoot that sucker. And he shot and missed. And that bear took off 90 miles an hour. And I ain't kidding you. This guy went bam and just rolled him up. I mean, I said, you missed the easy shot, and then you shot him. You killed him when he was running.
Got rid of the jitters.
Yeah, we got serious because that sucker was going to get away from us.
Oh, man.
I caught so many bears on a mountain that my cousin came out and said, well, we'll go burn your tag. And we didn't get up till 7, and I didn't get out there till 9. And he's like, oh, shouldn't we get out there early? I said, nah. We went up, we walked up. I said, I'm going to walk up the steepest part this time. I usually walk up and around a ridge. So let's just go straight up. Dogs waited till we got straight up this horrible steep. We hit the top, and they jumped it, and they went about 30 from my truck and went back around the mountains. We went back down. I said, well, man, I don't think it was treeing. It was just baying, and it'd stay in a spot and move. I said, I don't know. Let's go see how big this elk is. And we get in my little Toyota and come around the mountains, and we're going. And I'm like, man, there's like 200 yards right here. So I stop, and I can hear them. I said, well, maybe they're treed. I said, let's just walk in. Get out of the truck, start walking. And I'm like, well, hell, they're coming right towards us. I'm like, maybe it's a deer, you know. I never tell anybody it's anything else but something bad. Yeah. And I'm walking, like, man, they're 90 yards. And I see dogs coming through there. And I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what it is, honestly, the way they're running. And not 30 yards from us, a bear come running out. And I'm like, it's an effing bear. And the dogs were far enough behind it, you know, and he shot that bear and it rolled. And I was like, watch my dogs, you know. And that bear went to get up again, and he shot again. And those dogs scattered. They would scatter. He'd shoot. They'd scatter like, oh, where'd that come from? They'd come in on that bear. And but it was a boar. So it's kind of lucky. But,
you know, we had that, nothing against George or anything, when we were watching those guys in Maine running those bears. And how many bears do you think would get caught in this country when you were running them like that? I mean, because they didn't seem like they were putting enough pressure on them. And I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of.
Well, it sounded like there's a lot of bears up there. So it sounded like they were just going and flushing them, and they were shooting them right through the dogs too. I was like,
yeah,
wow.
That's what I mean. It seemed like the dogs were just, yeah. I mean, in my mind, when I ran bears, and that's why I said I didn't have very good bear dogs. In my mind, what I seen was 5 or 6 of my dogs standing, 6-7 foot back from a walking bear and just kind of booger barking at him and not putting enough pressure on him to make him tree.
Well, that bear probably turned and spotted. I've seen bears that 15 dogs on them, and it just walks like it's like a cow with flies around it. It just swishes his tail. He'll turn around, and he's probably got close enough for them dogs to learn. You know, I have a video thing. The bear just stood there, and they're just kind of staying back. When he would move, they'd all run in, and that old bear turn around and go after. He went after my white dogs. Very racist bear, but it only went after my white dogs.
Did they go when they went in? Did they go in and work his ass, work his butt? I mean,
they got pretty close to him, but by this point, we've already been chasing them for a little while. So by this point, I think they knew their limits. I think dogs are smart enough to know their limits, and they knew when that bear turned, they can get close to him, and that bear would turn around and chase a dog, and then it would chase the dog off.
And they pick one dog out.
It was only my white dogs. It was Sydney and Cruella, so they were both white dogs. It was kind of weird. I don't know why.
I don't know.
It is safe. It is. You know, people like, I like gritty dogs, but I don't like stitching dogs, and I don't like losing dogs. I like a dog that's smart enough to keep that bear going or try to get it up a tree. But if a bear don't want to go up a tree, he ain't going to go up a tree. And if a bear wants to run, he's going to smoke your dog.
Well, it's just like when you catch a lion on a ledge, man. I don't like that. You know,
no, I don't either.
You know,
it's scary.
All of a sudden, one dog gets closer, and then another one's ahead, and then another one's ahead, and next thing you know, the dog's getting grabbed by a dog.
Well, when that lion swats, they all get excited.
Yeah,
you know, or if he catches a dog, I mean, they just get crazy and run in, like they don't think.
And they push each other. They push each other over the edges, and
when you get there, they get tough too. That
they don't.
I got a video. I don't make it public, but I got a video of a dog I sold that they caught a lion on a big old ledge, and the lion and the dog came off the ledge. It's on video. It's kind of, there's a long ways down too.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's,
you know, I got an old dog. I retired him after this hunt, but we caught this big old thumper Tom on a rock ledge last spring, and the hunter, he shot, and he got the jitters. The line went and bait up again on a ledge, and the hunter got the jitters. And before the dogs got there, I yelled at him. I'm like, shoot him again. Bam! He shoots like 4 feet high. Then the dogs show up, and I'm like, shit, now we got to go over there.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that line's been hit once by now, and the dogs were way too amped up. My 11-year-old dog, Mo, he's gone off, I don't know, I think 4 or 5 ledges from 30 feet to 60. And he showed up first, and it didn't take that line 2 seconds, just grabbed him and threw him. And you see him paddling, and he fell in some brush. But when he's falling through the brush, you just hear that bam, and I'm like, oh, he's dead. And the lion gets shot, we get him down, and I get down there, and that dog is just drooling blood out of its mouth. And I'm like, he's kind of swerving and swabbing, and the hunter's all, is he gonna make it? We gotta take him to the vet. And I'm like, he's 11, dude. If he's gonna make it, he's gonna make it. If not, I mean, he ain't gonna make a surgery.
Yeah.
And
sure shoot. Now all he does is pack a leg
every now and then.
Huh. They're tough. I mean,
they are
tougher than
dirty,
you
rotten,
think.
tough.
Well,
I mean, you don't go out anymore, but
when I hunt down in where I hunt down there in South Arizona, there's no bluffs or cliffs. They got some mountains in there, but there ain't nothing. I could roll my mule down and live, you know. When I get over there in Globe, God dang, Globe is just dirty, big, steep, nasty country. It's just bad. You know, I got the res down in the bottom where I hunt. They like to hit that river, head to that res. They know where that res is.
Yep.
You know?
Safety.
Yeah. Even my son the other day, I said, you want to go hit Globe? He goes, no. Kind of like it's like going on a drunk and you drink nothing but Jim Beam and you smell Jim Beam a year later and like, I'm not ready yet. So, you know, he lost an old dog down there. I found the dog the next day, or he did, and I went down there for 3-4 days after, and we just never found it. Never got a call. So might just
It's
be catfish bait.
yep.
So
You
anyway,
get in that big nasty country, like even up on the rim, with them bluffs.
yeah, and I think he said that back east is different, but man, they like to hunt together, and I think the romanticism about line hunting out here is it seems like you might take another guy with you on a mule, but you don't get 15 mules and go out and have 30 dogs like a foxhound, and do circles. I imagine if you could get 5, 6, 7 guys out there with different packs of dogs and do different circles, you might drum something up a little faster. But I think a dry ground lion hunter, I think he's a loner, like, period. Like, I don't bother me at all.
Me and my buddies would camp together
and
share a campfire, but when it came morning time, they hit their spots
went
and I
different
hit my
direction.
spot. Yep.
Yeah, I don't
Now if someone found a kill, then it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, someone will take puppies, someone will take experienced dogs, and they'll go catch it. But
whoever found it takes their good dogs, and you take all your puppies with them and just let them follow them. But it's like bear hunting here. I don't like people following behind me. When I get more than 2 trucks behind me, I feel like a dummy, like a circus. Yep. I hate it. So
yeah, I don't think I would like that.
No, I don't like. You get those guys out east. They get the bear trees, and there's 15, 20 people underneath the tree, and I don't like big groups to begin with.
Yeah, I think that's all lion hunters. I think most of your lion hunters, even Mike Roots, he takes people and does this, but he's still kind of a loner. He could go out by himself.
Oh, yeah, a lot of does.
He does. And a lot of these guys, Steve Smith and Orville, all these old school guys, Ed Vance, you hear him tell his stories about he had to build a fire and didn't get back to the truck. There was no side by sides. He didn't have a mule. He was just out there walking, So, and I went out and hunted that bear last month like I was lion hunting. She dropped me off. I free casted. The dog started something a couple miles away, and I said, well, I'm just going to keep going, and I did. We kept going, and but once I knew they were headed to bad country res, we jumped in a truck. I'm like, you got to pick me up over here.
Yeah,
picked up and hauled ass over there. But
I used to hunt with an old timer in Nevada, and he died a couple years ago, but he would dump me off in canyons.
Yeah.
And then I'd have a couple dogs, and we had the handheld, and he could tell if the dogs are trailing or not by the bark meter or whatever. And I just hiked to the bottom of the canyon, and he'd pick me up, and then he'd go drive his roads and dump me off on another one, and I'd hike downhill, and it was nice. I loved that because I could not handle sitting in a truck. After 9 o'clock in the morning, I started getting pissed. For one, we haven't found nothing, and 2, I haven't done anything. I feel like I haven't done anything all day.
I sold those dogs over in by Ruidoso and Capitan over there, and I hunted with those guys. And golly, I sat in a vehicle that long, I get sleepy. I was sitting there in the back seat, and they would drive. It was no snow. They weren't hunting snow, but they might as well have been, because they drive real close to the edge of the road where it had been bladed out, and they watched that berm. And I was sitting there, I never will forget. I was sitting there about half asleep, and I woke up and I looked out and I said, right there's a line track. And they said, see, it's got a circle around it. He said, that's from last week. So sorry. And I started going back to sleep.
That's how I take hunters out, is in a side-by-side or pickup when we'll go drive dusty roads. But man, it's, when we had those guys from Texas, 3-4 days of that not finding nothing, you start like, God, I just need to get out and go find one, because this ain't working.
No, I did both. I got on the mule, then we went out and drove. Then I got on the mule, went down south, went out and drove. The good thing about my dogs is, like, when I'm driving around, when I'm just rigging bear and I don't want to walk, I'll get out on certain areas. And I let the dogs I need out, and I'll send them up. And they know. They've been in those. They've treed. Them dogs remember where they tree them bears. I guarantee it.
Yes, they do.
Just like dogs remembering trees, specific trees and canyons where lion scratches are.
Yeah.
They'll run
Yeah,
underneath those trees and check them.
Yep. See how fresh it is. Saying,
Yep.
so I'll send them up a canyon and just kind of wait. And I've caught many a bear just sending them up a canyon. Then I just kind of watch and see how they run. And, you know how a bear runs. You know if it's a bear or an elk or, you know, coyote. Coyotes kind of run straight lines.
And those
Bears like
lions, those lions go back and check their old kills. I mean, bones. They'll go back where they've made a kill before and walk through
I
there.
wonder if they go back just to see if there's other line coming in on that.
I was reading a thing about Charlie Tant, and
He found a lion kill. He had a lion kill with a deer. Then the lion killed a coyote. Then the lion killed 2 ravens. And they're all stacked on top of each other pretty much.
They were all coming in trying to get that lion's kill, you think?
yeah,
That'd be cool.
off that deer.
I found coyotes that have been killed by lions.
Yeah.
They say out here in the desert that 60% of their diet is coyotes, and then they end up getting pinworms. I think it's pinworms, and it'll kill the lion. Eventually, the lion. And that old female that I caught down here, she had her teeth. She was old in her teeth. She'd been kicked in the face too, and then I say kicked. She had an injury in her jaw, and this little lion I just caught. He might have been wormy, or it was a little female, but I don't know. But they eat coyotes. I found them. I mean, skunks. They love skunks too.
Yeah, them young ones, them young lions. Yeah, they'll start
porcupines.
Talking to a biologist.
Shoot, it was February last year. He was telling me the average age of a tom is 6 when they die.
Really?
He said
they don't really make it past 6. They usually got to die of an injury by 6.
I know they're all
fighting,
tore up.
Fighting. He's all.
Their ears are usually whacked off, and then those skunks are. We don't have any porcupines to speak of, but those skunks, and they just skin them just like somebody taking a knife and skinned them, and they eat the inside out of them. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Amazing.
Guys,
it's
past my bedtime. I'm tired.
I hear you.
I'm cold. I'm a little chilly. I haven't even ate yet. I had some elk steaks I was going to cook.
You got your great big tent set up?
Yeah, by myself. That's stupid. I'll never. Oh boy, someone had a camera out there watching me right now. I'd make. It's not easy.
Did you get it set up nice though, and tight and everything? And
yeah, I got it all. Yeah, after about the 4th adjustment, but yeah.
Do you got a wood burning stove in that thing?
No.
Propane something?
I just got a fat girl that's going to come lay with me here in a little bit.
That's
I told her don't shave all summer.
Oh man,
those are the best kind.
Hopefully my wife's off already. No, on that big tent, if I take my little propane stove I heat water with, I put it in there for 5 minutes, and it's a very hot tent. It's not a summer tent. It's a very good winter tent. Any sun hits it and it just heats up, but it does have a stove jack in it. So I'll probably put me a little stove in there when it gets colder.
I used to when I was young, and we'd go out, and I had just a little old Kmart nylon tent, and what do they call it? A nylon coffin. And but I would sit by the campfire at night and then take a lantern, and these were the old Coleman, not kerosene, but Coleman.
Get real heavy, yeah.
And I just put it in that tent and zip it up, and I'd sit by the fire for a long time, and then take that thing out and unzip it. Of course, the oxygen would get back in there, but it would be warm. My sleeping bag, everything would be warm. Next morning, though, you're freezing your huevos rancheros off trying to get out of that thing, trying to get over there to that fire. Seemed like when I was young, I got cold so easy, but now it doesn't bother me as much as it used to. Seems like, I don't know.
Yep. No, so I keep it right next to me. So I just, in the mornings, I lean over and kick it on for a few minutes. But it's not that cold, I didn't bring a hoodie. So It's all right.
No
I'll eat some
jacket or
cup
no?
of
You say
noodle.
a hoodie. Don't you have a jacket or anything?
I don't wear jackets. I have all kinds of jackets that are cool that I bought, and it never gets cold enough for me. I barely, honestly, wear hoodies in the winter. I'm very warm-blooded, I guess. I don't know.
It's a big old beard
Oh.
keeps you warm.
Maybe
Well-
my dad it drives my dad crazy. He's from the Phoenix, so it gets right now. They'd be all jacketed up and with the hoodie. They'd have a sweater
Mhm.
on and a jacket. And
When Chris
I wake
came
up in the
down last-
morning and I didn't even build a
Mhm.
fire yet, so it's like pitch black all around me. So I'm waiting to see eyes behind me or something. The only thing
When Chris
keeping them
came
away is
down
that
last
generator.
winter,
What's
when
that?
Chris came down when you came down last winter, it was 29 degrees.
For low, and he's hanging out with the campfire with a t-shirt on. I didn't get out of my tent.
His tent stovepipe looked like a jet engine. It was glowing red. I don't know how he didn't catch fire in there. It's all that old bear. I don't know.
Yeah. Chris came out
So-
and talked that morning. And he's like, "Are you awake yet?" And I was like, "I'm not getting out."
Out yet? I'm still freezing.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I had
good
I got
times.
that I got that snow tracker tent, and I got a wood burning stove in it, and I set
Mhm.
it up there when those guys came from Oklahoma to hunt with me, and they had their little tent over there, and I had that wood burning stove in there the next morning. Boy, we were all cramped. I mean, that canvas, it's a canvas tent, but it's not very big,
Mm-hmm.
and we were all sitting in there right next to each other, just rubbing elbows next to that wood burning stove.
Cuddled up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
You know,
were.
man, I feel like my internet worked better out here than it did in my house.
Yeah, that's great. What kind of light do you got shining on your face?
It's just not a ring light. It's just a
Does a good job.
Amazon $12 special.
Huh.
Does
And it
good.
goes, it goes, if I want to be Oompa Loompa, it goes a softer color, then it goes bright, and then you can adjust the,
Shoot, you could be
TikTok famous with that thing.
I know, well, I use it on my bearded and belly OnlyFans.
Guys, I
Yep,
gotta go.
I'm
Yeah.
going to make some
Thanks.
cup of noodle, cook an elk steak, and I got to take I thought I was going to be able to sleep in tomorrow, too. I'm like, I'm going to sleep in, but
Can't do.
I have a lady next door lost her husband, and she
Oh.
needed a ride to the doctor tomorrow, so
Yeah.
I got to get up and go.
So you just
do
went
that.
up there to set up camp. So you're gonna go back. Yeah.
Yeah, I did, and I had 2 generators on standby, and my cousin brought a generator, and he gets here and it won't run. So I'm like, well, I'll just kick my truck on and then put my inverter,
Mhm.
But I think I go, when's the last time you put gas in? He goes, I don't know, like a year ago. They use it just for branding. They got those electric brands. Have you ever seen those?
Yeah.
They're
Oh,
really
yeah.
nice. Yeah, you don't have to worry. It just stays hot, but but he hadn't put gas in it forever. So I had some good gas here and it's running. So
There you go.
I like it though. I'd rather be out here doing the live than anything. I was
Yeah, it's
worried about
good.
my light, but the light's good. And
It's good.
I don't know.
Mhm.
It's kind
Good
of
show. Real good show.
Well, and we started
enjoyable.
off. I told Jared, so what do you want to talk about? He goes, I don't know, maybe camp. And I said, oh, that's good. I can't. So, and I'm like, yeah, we'll do that. I was thinking the same thing. And we got on here and didn't speak one word about camping. we talked about undercovers, and I don't even want to call him a bad name. He might be just a good guy that
Yeah.
Benny got all crazy about. Maybe
We're
he
gonna let
really
him
did
and
have
Benny.
some.
We're gonna let him and Benny face off, though.
Yep.
I tell you
Yeah.
what.
Yep.
That's
Put
gonna
them
be a
side
good
by
one.
side, and then we'll just make ourselves real small in the corners. and then we'll have
get a little countdown.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
then boom, it's on.
and then maybe we'll have a little GIF we can pop up that throws in the towel for whose corner you're in.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
be good. Next week,
Yeah.
the
There we go.
outlaw down.
Yep.
Bueno,
Thanks
pues,
for coming on, Brett.
hasta luego. Well, thank you guys. That was great.
Yeah.
I like how
enjoyed
you
that.
say I'm gonna jump on for a little bit, and you stay on for 2.5 hours.
I know. I know. I
Brett,
know.
Irish.
It was good.
How
I
you
enjoyed
see
the
this.
conversation.
Yep.
You guys,
Yep.
good to talk to you. All right. Bueno
Alrighty,
pues.
guys.
Hasta luego. I
See ya.
won't say my usual.
Ah,
Farewell.
who cares?
Oh, you bunch
Who
of
cares?
brainwashed.
What's your wife
Oh,
doing back there?
Cleaning the house. She's been gone
Oh,
for a
about
week.
time.
Yeah, she's
Oh,
been
she
gone
better
for a
catch
week,
up.
So yeah, I've left it
By the
trashed.
border, get you a little Mexican girl, come over and cook and clean
I
for you
need
while
to.
she's gone. I
I
know.
need to.
I don't think she would mind if she cooked and cleaned.
No, probably not.
Oh,
I'll pay her myself.
Yeah, she's
oh
not.
dang. Yeah. All right. Well, it was a good show.
It was. I had fun. I love talking to Brett and his stories.
Getting time. I got to head down south though. I'm gonna get some bear. I got to get my kids some bear. I want to get my boys a couple bears. I'm not even really worried about size.
Why don't you go check the Chiricahuas?
That's way down there. This is only 30 minutes from my house. So,
I don't think them bears been dogged though. I don't know anyone that hunts bear down there.
you know, Globe is open too, and there's some big bears in Globe. Big bears. They're hard to get. So
Yeah.
my boys can't keep up with me, I don't think, on a mule yet.
Gotcha.
So not in that country. So
Yep. Well, that country's rough and miserable.
but, adios, fella. Thanks, guys. Have a good hunt. I'm gonna work on it. It'll be fun.
Yep.
Time to go, Dandy. Time to go. All righty, sir.
See you later.
We'll catch you next week.
Yep. See ya.
All right. All right, guys. I'm out of here. I'm gonna make me some couple noodle and elk steak. And I hadn't even set up my cot or nothing. So thanks everybody for coming. Maybe I'll do a live Saturday if we have any luck. Maybe I'll jump on. Maybe if I'm bored. Get everybody on, do some interviews with all these dummies around here. Especially the one girl that always gives me trouble. Anyways, have a good weekend. If I don't hear from you, always remember, keep your powder dry and stay safe out there.